It's time to read the news and weather. Time to figure out what to say. It's time to turn the channel of the Keeler Show today. Why do we always listen?
Keeler's always in the know.
It makes me want to call him
and tell him where to go.
And now let's get things started. Andrew, let's get things started.
It's time to get things started.
On the most sensational, inspirational, celebrational, Keelerational. This is what we call the Keeler Show.
WIBX.
This is Keeler.
WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM.
Now back to the Keeler Show.
Well, good morning. Sickness abound, so they tell us.
You know what? Like I said to Smitty at the end of the news there, it's 26 to start the day tomorrow, so if you're out early, you're in the 20s now. It's supposed to be 70 and rain tomorrow. I mean, people are going to be getting sick left and right. And what
You sound like my mom now.
Oh, I'm
That's
sorry.
her belief.
I'm getting older now.
She believes that the up and down is not good. It causes people to get sick.
Well, and I see this a lot, to be honest, on the truck because, like, I don't know sometimes. For instance, yesterday I left the house. I had 3 layers on. By the time 11:30
it warmed
came,
up.
I took
It
the
did
jacket
warm up.
off. I had a turtleneck on. I took off.
And the sun, because the sun came on, it warmed things up a little
It
bit.
did feel good.
By the way, Manansky talks about 2 things for those that don't really pay attention. Thing number 1 is on the truck.
Yes, a FedEx.
You're driving FedEx truck.
Yes, that's right.
And you have your first game tomorrow.
Baseball umpire.
You're
yeah.
also a baseball umpire.
Yes, and then I also do some early moonlighting or whatever it is.
Here.
Yes.
We appreciate
occasionally.
that. Megan is under the weather for the next 3 days, it looks like. I can just tell you that I think you're not able to disclose if somebody has a certain sickness.
Okay.
Like maybe she has the sniffles. But I will tell you, I thought this was very interesting. You know, the SNL Saturday Night Live 50th anniversary that they had a month ago.
Uh-huh.
So everybody came to Rockefeller Center, and the audience was filled with former cast members, former guests. And you had, the crowds were huge. And they're saying more than half of the people in the building got COVID.
Oh, boy.
So it is still spreading. It still does shut you down. I mean, it's not the killer that it once was, unless you have an underlying problem. I guess
Sure.
It certainly can be, just like the flu. But it still shuts you down.
It's horrifying to me that we're talking about this now. I so thought this was in the rearview mirror. This was a memory.
I don't think it ever will be. Right? I mean, I think we're going to, like the flu, you're going to deal with it for the rest of
True, but
our time.
How often do you say, we had a gathering and half the people got the flu? Nobody talks like that.
And I do think fewer people get the vaccine now. So, obviously people out there say, "Wow, the vaccine didn't work." It really did work, and it does work if you have a sickness or an underlying condition of some sort. They do recommend that you get it because not only does it prevent you from having it, but vaccines, very much like the measles vaccine, I'll talk about that in a second. That it lessens the blow. And with measles, we thought we had that eradicated, but, now there are people that don't believe in that, and certain communities around the country are anti-vaccine. So all of a sudden you have pop-ups of that. But here's the other thing on this, is these vaccines that we get when we're children, they do begin to wane.
Yeah.
So when kids don't get the vaccine and they're running around with these sicknesses, diseases, there's a chance that even though you may have had the vaccine when you were 3 or 5 or whatever age, that you can still get it. And this is a very interesting story. My daughter, who was doing working on a program, we're hoping it's still going to be funded. Working on a program that is doing medical research, and in order to do the medical research, she had to go through all this testing because you have to make sure you have all of your vaccines are up to date, all of your all of that.
Okay.
So they notified her that she had to read. Now, she's 21, but had a condition that is rare, that many of the vaccines had dissipated in her body to the point where they didn't even show up. So she has had to, over the course of the last year, go back and get all of these vaccines all over again, the ones she had when we first enrolled her in school.
What's that? Measles, mumps, there's another
polio, all of that stuff.
Oh, my goodness.
Crazy, right?
So now it's interesting.
Wait a minute. I just blew the HIPAA rules. I shouldn't talk about it. That's what I'm told.
So look, to try to make everybody happy here, what I'm going to say is, should we? I'm going to ask this.
Can you really make everybody happy?
No, I can't.
Okay.
And usually you tick everybody off when you try to do that. But should we call it the COVID vaccine? I know you just gave an example of things that we consider to be true and working vaccines that over 20 years have waned, or 15 years have waned, and they're not as effective, and they're not even noticeable.
Natural. That is going to happen in everyone, and it's always that way. Whether it's not noticeable or not is probably not the case, but for a 21-year-old to have that is just rare. They don't know what happened.
Oh, so it's a unique
Her
case.
situation is very rare, and they don't know what happened. But in order to be able to do this program, participate in this program, she had to go get all of her vaccines again.
Can we call the COVID vaccine can we call it the COVID shot? Like we say, did you get your flu shot?
COVID shot? I think you can.
Just because
some people get them both at the same time.
You still get it. It's still, you know what I mean?
Well, again, but I think a lot of people don't get the COVID vaccine now.
I think
you're right. There's a lot of people that
because they feel that it doesn't work. No,
you remember fighting? Remember fighting for it before? Like
Since I got mine at SUNY IT, I haven't had another COVID shot, and I haven't had COVID since.
I had the shot, and I did have it. But it lasted for about 3 or 4 days. So it wasn't that first time I had it was rough, and that was without the vaccine. Anyway, take it for what it all is. And, I realize it gets, Megan's going to pipe in. And she says, I got mine in October. I think my symptoms were a lot more tolerable because of it. And Megan,
is she disclosing what her illness is?
She has COVID.
Okay.
Well, I only am reading that in what she's responding to, so I guess I can say that. So, and she had it confirmed with a test at the hospital.
Okay.
So,
good morning, Megan. I hope you feel
the
good.
other part of this was we were going back and forth over the last 2 days because before I went to Andrew's wedding, I had the radiothon and caught something from someone. It was just a cold. Tested, it was never COVID, and she said, well, I finally got what you had. I'm like, well, the timeline doesn't work.
Right.
If you got what I had, you'd have had it 2 weeks ago.
Right.
And we were going back and forth. And yesterday when she said COVID, I could not help myself but text her and say, well, now we know it wasn't me, don't we? So, Megan, I apologize for that. Let's see. Mike, this morning, good news for the Republicans. They won both seats in Florida. Bad news for the Republicans. The Democrat won the Supreme Court position in Wisconsin. So take what you want. Believe me, Florida is prime Trump country.
Yeah.
And I witnessed that with a very heartfelt, patriotic Lee Greenwood as the waves came in on the Gulf of America side of Florida, as people were putting their hands to their heart and praising Trump, chanting Trump, as a boat was playing Lee Greenwood. And it's funny because they followed up Lee Greenwood with with an AC/DC song that was. So I mean, they weren't all in with patriotism, but for that moment, people were cheering on the beach and chanting Trump. Do you think the Republicans were going to win those 2 seats? Yeah.
Fingers crossed the song wasn't Highway to Hell, was it?
It might have been Highway to Hell. It might have been. I mean, it was a wild, wild party. My wife called it a really, really nice Sylvan Beach as we were lying there chanting Trump with the other revelers. Actually, Sylvan Beach has come a long way when you look at it. All right. Anyway, we have a lot to get to here today. The Rosenthal report this morning. We might be speaking with Heenan. We'll get a little Boilermaker update, believe it or not. We'll speak with Stacey Haynes. She's the executive director of the Susquehanna SPCA. That problem with that farm in Berlin that was harboring animals. What a mess there. We'll get to that. Ryan Schmelz on the Capitol Hill hearing on judicial overreach. We'll speak with him in a few minutes. Manaski is in for Megan for a couple of days. Ryan Nobles from NBC. We got a busy morning to get to. And guess what? Back in the news again for possibly round number 2, DFAS in Rome. And those jobs are back in the news. Basically, according to this report, about 150 people, 210 throughout the year period. They're down to about 800 people, according to a report on KTV. Days ago, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth signed a memo reopening the program, an early retirement program, and deferred resignation open to nearly all Department of Defense civilian workers. So there is a chance we'll be looking at more cuts over there. At this point, voluntary, but it's tough to see these jobs go.
Yeah,
if it's in your community. If it's somewhere else, well, let's save some dough.
Yeah, this is the old, you need to cut programs, but don't touch mine.
Yeah.
But look, as a matter of fact, I know 2 of them come to mind, 2 DFAS employees, and I spoke with both of them about this. One of them did opt to take the early retirement.
Yeah.
I don't know his exact age, but he's older than me. I think he's in his 50s.
Yeah.
And he said,
awesome if you can retire in your 50s.
Yeah, he said they offered it, and I thought about it. And as a matter of fact, when I ran into him, I was dropping a package at his house, and he goes, this was a couple weeks ago. He goes, this is my 3rd day retired, and I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow. But
he's okay with that.
He's fine with it. He's
nice.
okay with it. And the other one said, I talked to the other one about the whole email thing with Elon Musk. And he was more in favor of that style approach, certainly, than I was. He said he felt like it was not a ploy, but an effort, an attempt just to see who was actually working and checking their emails.
Well, that's what they claimed. They were trying to see if there was a human behind it. A suspect has been arrested after a man here in upstate New York and a boy found a hidden camera in a Krispy Kreme bathroom.
Oh, boy.
WHAM, Wham, in Rochester reporting that 34-year-old Corey Clark of Puxatawney, Pennsylvania, saw his shadow as he was being taken out in handcuffs. Police said the camera recovered by the 44-year-old man, accompanied by the 9-year-old boy, they returned over the recording device to the restaurant. They then contacted authorities. We saw a case like this here, connected to Schenectady, if you remember that. Police approached employees to ask for the camera back, but they refused to turn it over. He was taken into custody. The person was taken into custody, and the person who owned the camera didn't want to give it back because it probably had the data on the camera.
Certainly. So wait, did they get the camera?
They did, and he was arrested.
Okay. When you said they refused to turn it over, I'm like, they can't. It's evidence.
Well,
the cops can seize that.
The employee who is allegedly responsible for the camera in the bathroom
went and retrieved it.
Correct.
And then said,
when
I don't know.
Police came, they asked for it, and he said,
no habla inglés.
No inglés. Yeah, I think that's probably how it went down. And ultimately, there you go. So, but what do you I just don't understand I do not understand the sickness of enjoying watching people from either the same or different sex go to the bathroom. I do not understand that. Yes, you've got a...
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I guess to each his own, and as long as you're not violating someone else's space, I guess it's all fair game. Obviously, in this case, allegedly.
You're
but
violating.
I do not understand how someone could be attracted to that. I'm sorry. I don't get it.
Ryan Schmelz, we will not be talking about this conversation, just to set you free. Capitol Hill hearings on judicial overreach. Good morning, Ryan. What do we know today going into this? Good morning.
Well, what do we know today? What we know today is that it really wasn't the hearing that was the biggest takeaway. It was probably after the hearing, which is because, the guy who was chairing this committee, the Congressman Darrell Issa from California, he had a bill, and it was a Republican-backed bill that would rein in these national indictments or national injunctions that were handed down by these district court judges that have been a thorn in the side to the Trump administration. Well, that bill couldn't get passed because it was attached to a motion to table the proxy bill that would have allowed for new parents to have to vote remotely for 12 weeks. Well, there was some drama with that bill. It got sunk, so the bill didn't go anywhere. Now the House is out for the rest of the week.
What I find so interesting about this is so not the current Republican agenda, right?
Which part?
The proxy. This is the push now by Republicans is get everybody back to work. None of this COVID stuff that we were dealing with. But you have Republicans saying no. They're supporting this. I find that very interesting.
Well, yeah, it's only a couple of them too. I mean,
right.
It was 9 total who voted to sink the rule yesterday. The procedural vote that would have gotten that bill, that would have killed that bill and gotten the other bills to the floor. And yeah, I mean, it's like you have Mike Lawler from New York, Nick LaLota from New York too. So there's some New York backing for this.
Yeah.
But at the same time, yes, it's a very small group. But it's also created a lot of division because Speaker Johnson's doing whatever he can, and so is a couple of members of the Conservative Freedom Caucus to just make sure this bill doesn't even get to the floor for a vote.
Wow, very interesting. And then you have the Democrat Cory Booker out there doing a marathon.
Is he still talking?
I think he's done now.
He's no longer talking. He stopped last night. I believe at 25 hours was the number he got to.
Was he exhausted? Did he plan to keep going, or is this like the Guinness World Record? Like if the record's 300,
he did break the record.
He did break the record,
Yeah.
but you see this a lot where they break the record, and then you just eclipse the record a little bit.
Yes,
and then the next person tries to eclipse that record.
Who was the Republican who did it maybe 10 years ago? There was a Republican.
Ted Cruz.
It was Ted Cruz. I thought it was Ted Cruz.
Yeah, and ironically, that moment helped Ted Cruz launch his presidential campaign not too many years later.
Right.
So is this kind of a jockeying for Cory Booker to be the next leader of the Democratic Party, whether it's majority leader, minority leader, or potentially, a presidential candidate? I mean, I asked him, like, are you the new voice of the Democratic Party? And he's like, he said, God bless America. No, I'm trying just to move on and speak up and all that good stuff. So, he's not really having that conversation right now, but I think a lot of people are kind of looking at that and saying this was maybe a moment for Democrats. And what's interesting too is, I think a lot of people were thinking, well, they lost the 2 Florida races yesterday. If they would have lost that Wisconsin Supreme Court race,
oh yeah,
that would have all been completely useless.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And it's that is very interesting because that would have meant that they have made no gains with people around the country that are losing their jobs in these cuts that are being made. You can't imagine that the Democrats wouldn't make some sort of improvement, some sort of gain and they do in Wisconsin. So really interesting. By the way, do they allow him to go to the bathroom when they do the filibuster?
No, he's not allowed to go.
Okay.
And he was actually asked by the press if he was wearing a diaper.
That is awesome.
You know what? He's just like Joe Biden. He almost fell asleep mid-sentence, and he
Yes.
possibly pooped his pants.
And he did.
I think it's very presidential.
He did the Booker shuffle as he was heading out of the chambers. So, all right, interesting, Ryan. We appreciate the update. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Ryan Schmelz with Fox News Radio. We'll do a quick update on news. A break though first, Davey? No, you want to do news? Okay. We're going to do Yankees got beat yesterday. Boy. It's all over now. It's all over now.
It's only one loss, Bill. Only one loss.
All over. Listen, I got to tell you, I want to go back to last year at this time when Andrew was like throwing things against the wall. Season's over. This is terrible. These Yankees, they got to get rid of Boone. Boone has got to go.
Yeah, spoiled.
And I'm like, Andrew, it's like the fourth game of the season.
It's only one loss.
Yeah. Let's do news. Manaski has an update. Here we go.
Well, we were just talking about him, Bill. WIBX 950 AM, 92.3 FM news time is 6:37. Cory Booker broke the record for the longest Senate speech ever, clocking in at just over 25 hours. He's protesting President Trump's tariffs steps that the president is taking to dismantle the Department of Education and other policies, saying the nation is in crisis. The record, the longest speech given on the Senate floor, previously was 24 hours, 18 minutes. That was way back in 1957. The mass layoffs of federal health workers went underway yesterday, with over 10,000 employees dismissed from their jobs. There are reports the Department of Health and Human Services employees were turned away at the door and found out about their layoff when they arrived to work yesterday morning. Among the thousands to have lost their jobs include physicians in senior leadership positions, IT officials, and entire human resource departments. Jobs eliminated included those tasked with protecting Americans from infectious disease, scientists researching new treatments, and employees regulating food, drugs, and medical devices. Washington State University researchers have developed a computer model to help predict which animals might be responsible for the next pandemic. The model uses artificial intelligence and initially focused on smallpox and mpox to determine which host traits and virus genetics might be the highest in certain animals and regions around the world. They say a proactive approach could focus on those regions to slow or prevent the spread of new viruses. Nearly 3/4 of emerging viruses that infect humans come from animals. And a new study ranks the state of Florida number one for the most stressful emergency room visits. The rankings were compiled by insurance company Policy Guide and covered factors ranging from cost, in which Florida also ranked 1, to number of admissions and number of inpatient per 1,000 residents. Florida is one of 4 southeastern states in the top 10, along with Kentucky at number 5, Tennessee in 7, and Alabama at number 10. If you're looking for the least stressful ER visits, Wyoming is the place to be. WIBX 950 AM, 92.3 FM news time is 6:39. Your full forecast from Ray Stajic.
Cold morning relative to the time of year. Rain showers in our forecast as the clouds thicken through today. Those rain showers toward lunchtime and dinner time especially, about 45 the daytime high. Tonight, showers around 39. Tomorrow, a few showers, maybe a thunderstorm. No severe expected at this time. High 70 degrees. I'm meteorologist Ray Stajic at the Weather Channel on WIBX 950 AM and 92.3 FM.
Right now, we have cloudy skies and still 26 degrees. Ugh.
It is, it's chilly, but tomorrow we have rain and 70. So go figure all of this. Wayne this morning, I do not understand why anybody would want to have a camera in the bathroom. He said, when I worked in Remington, there was a young guy who did that with a cell phone. Nasty perverts. I hate it when a person leaves the door open when they're in there as well. WTF. That's Wayne.
Who leaves the door open? It's got to be somebody he lives with, right?
It must be. It must be. Listen, during a game, we have a bathroom like right off our den. I might leave the door open when I'm alone because I don't want to miss the next play. But usually I do shut the door. I think it's important to shut the door.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I live alone, and I feel like
You
I
shut the door
all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah. You shut the door. Okay, and then Rob asking this morning, based on this, the 2 wins in Florida, why is Elise Stefanik not the ambassador to the United Nations? And why did they not continue in there? Boy, there are a lot of stories out right now about the infighting that was happening between a couple of, and actually Rozier was mentioned by name in one of these stories, or a couple of the stories, as everybody trying to position. No one could agree on all of these. So it was the Republican chairs who would decide who would be the candidate. And then there's talk about the conservative, the head of the Conservative Party in New York, being some bad stuff coming down there. And this Constantino, Jamoke, all of this. And I really think that it just got so bad, based on stories that I've read, that the president said, screw it. I'm sure that's not how he said it, but let's withdraw the nomination and return stability and put Elise back in there. And because it looked like the conservatives were going to run an alternate candidate. There would be 2 Republicans running. The fear was they were going to lose that seat. And I think that's why, no matter what happened in Florida, they pulled everything out.
So that would shock me to lose that seat in the North Country here in New York. I mean, I know this is a blue state, but
I'll tell you that I looked at the demographics quite carefully of that district, and it is heavy Republican. But it's also, this day and age, heavy independent. And you had a farmer up there who was quite popular, and Gendabine, and I think they worried that this was just there was so much dysfunction. When you would have thought this is easy, right? You have
I would have thought
complete Republican control. This should be simple. Everybody step in line. Let's keep the line moving forward, right? Instead, sometimes I do think people like to position themselves so they benefit, and sometimes benefit financially, and it causes all sorts of causes. Well, I'm actually getting into the behind the scenes. I think this was a mess. And it, for a guy like Joe Rakowski, who I think would have been a great congressperson, you feel bad because they invest a lot. He invested a lot of time and money into this in order to make this thing happen, or at least be considered. And look at how it went down. What a mess. But I think there's more to come in all of this. There is more to come. We'll see. Quick break, and we'll come right back here. It's Wednesday morning, the day after all of the... I didn't see a lot of pranks. I don't think people are in pranking moods these days.
Oh, you know what? I got 2 great pranks for you. I'll share after the break
so
if you want to
couple.
prepare for next year. And I just got a text. Are you coming down with something? Somebody claims that you've got an illness. I'll share it on the other side.
Well, I do. I have a couple, but but I will tell you that if it's all right. Well, I'd like to hear what they.
You want it right
say.
now?
Yeah.
Well, it's from Bill Morehouse. He claims you got Trump derangement.
Listen, Bill Morehouse sits in his house, Bill's Morehouse, and I think he just dreams stuff up. What's the bad Trump stuff?
What
have I said negative?
Now?
What have I said?
My tease.
Listen,
who needs a tease?
Bill, all of what went down in the 21st Congressional District is, I'm telling you exactly what happened.
No, this was prior to that. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Not in regard to what
did
you
I
just
say
said about
Trump?
that. No, he just said, good morning, Jeff. Yes, they're called jobs. We were talking about DFAS. He said, but remember, we're cutting waste, fraud, and abuse.
Oh, the DFAS stuff.
Listen, even Bill with his TDS.
As you sit there with your cake job, which you really don't ever have to report to, let's talk about that, criticizing the DFAS workers for phoning it in from home, you're the pot calling the kettle black.
Not even Bill with his TDS could have a problem with cutting waste, fraud, and abuse. And Well, you're here. You could speak for yourself. I don't think anybody's got a problem with that. The problem is
No.
when it goes too far.
When it goes too far, and please let's look at the evidence of that abuse, the fraud, and the corruption. To me, we haven't quite seen that as of yet. But I would like to, Bill Morehouse. Has nothing to do with your what does he call it? Trump derangement syndrome. Has
TDS.
nothing to do with that. Nothing at all to do with that. Says the guy who nobody gets fired in Utica. They all got their jobs, right? Everybody's got a job in Utica. Because there's no waste.
Commissioner?
There's no waste left in Utica, right? There's no waste. Got a break. We'll come back and talk about it at WIBX.
Hey, if you have ugly yellow toe fungus, you got to hear about the secret 2-minute trick that I found for my husband. It works from both the inside and the outside. Thousands of people are using it to get rid of their toe fungus. You can check it out at crystalflesh.com. Jake started off with a small spot on his big toe and then it spread and got really bad. His toes were nasty. It was so embarrassing. He was afraid to take his socks off. He hid his yellow and crumbly toes from everyone. He tried everything to get rid of it. Nothing helped. And then we found crystalflesh.com. It was the only thing that worked. In just a few weeks, his toes looked amazing. He's now walking around barefoot again. You guys need to try this. I'm telling you, this stuff is different. It's not sold in stores, but go check it out at crystalflesh.com. They'll even let you try it risk-free so you have nothing to lose. But whatever you do, don't let it get worse. You don't have to live with this anymore. Go check it out now. Just click over to crystalflesh.com.
BME Company Business Machines and Equipment has been delivering office solutions for businesses in upstate New York for over 30 years. Their success comes from finding the right document management strategies and software solutions for streamlining workflows. Simply put, BME provides fast, reliable service at the best value to keep your business running smoothly. Through BME's strategic partnership with Hummel's Office Plus, they distribute supplies for just about every machine in your office at a great price. BME welcomes the opportunity to serve your business, selling, leasing, and service in Canon and Kyocera devices, as well as FP mailing solutions. An important part of BME's culture is supporting the communities they're fortunate to work in, and BME recognizes that support is one reason for their success. The future of business in BME's area is encouraging, and the company is grateful to be a part of that growth. Call BME Company at 315-574-8200 or visit BMEcompany.com. BME Company Office Solutions. Made simple.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
WIBX.
This is Keeler.
WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM.
Now back to the Keeler Show.
Good God. I did not, and Davey, if you get on mic in there, I want to hear your take on this, because this will be I did not know this was even going on, but did you realize that Val Kilmer died?
Oh, yes.
I did not know that.
I mean, I found out this morning. It was either this morning or last night that I read about it.
Davey, you must be, from the Rocky movies and all that, right?
He never was in Rocky.
Yeah, it says here.
Rocky?
Oh, they had a Rocky performance in Top Gun movies.
Yeah,
So,
he was never in Rocky.
The performance was Rocky. Yeah, Top Gun. I did not even know he was sick, and it was throat cancer.
His daughter's saying that he died of ammonia.
Pneumonia. Remember we had that conversation about what you clean with? Once I was cleaning with ammonia and hot water in the bathtub, and I thought, we moved into this place, had never used the bathtub before, and I wanted to sterilize it. Running hot water in, put ammonia into and it vaporizes and goes into the air, and you begin to choke. It'll kill you. And then how about the who was the Yankee player's former Yankee player's son?
Brett Gardner's son.
Terrible that I'm telling you. I get it that we all talk about, we're overregulated in the United States. But you go to these third world countries that have beautiful resorts, and your food, be careful. But then on top of that, can you imagine carbon monoxide poisoning? That's what they think killed him.
Yeah,
it wasn't the food poisoning. It's just crazy.
I read about this story the other day, and it was under the headline that bookings, if you will, reservations at this particular resort had plummeted ever since the news had broke about.
I'll bet.
And
I got to tell you, I think you got to start. You have to start thinking about taking a carbon monoxide alarm and throwing it in your suitcase or something, like a portable one.
Yeah,
I mean that is just
they're not that big. I mean, certainly it's much smaller than
you can
a
get
pair of
them
shoes or something.
You can get them that are like the size of smaller than a hockey puck.
That's actually a great point, Bill. I actually think people should consider doing that. But
you darn well should have them in your house.
Oh, absolutely. But no, on vacation though.
Yeah.
Just because something like this. When the story originally, when I was reading about it, I thought to myself, what could it have been? Did he have a heart condition? Did he possibly run into somebody? I mean, look, we've been to these foreign places. I'm not putting it on foreigners. You go to resort places, they know people, and Americans especially, looking to have a good time. I said this before. When I went on my honeymoon, there were two words that I heard shouted at me by the locals from the property line more than any other, and they were cocaine, marijuana.
Wow.
They were.
Where did you go?
Oh boy, you're gonna get me in trouble. Well, I guess I'm already in enough trouble. I don't remember.
I don't think you can get in
went.
trouble anymore from this, to be honest. So
where we went.
Anyway, did Val Kilmer do Jim Morrison?
Yeah, in The Doors.
Yeah,
and he started as Batman too.
He was really good, and he was good in that too.
Yeah, the Batman, obviously.
But the pneumonia comes into play when someone is at the last stages of their life. That's usually what the cause of death can be. Usually, you'll hear cause of death was pneumonia, which was complicated by throat cancer. In this case, he'd been battling throat cancer since 2016. But the movies Top Gun, Iceman, and so many others. He was side by side in Top Gun, right, with Tom Cruise. Here he is. I believe I can make this work. Tom Cruise talking about it.
You can be my wingman anytime.
This is actually a scene. My apologies.
You can be mine.
You know, in the first one, I really rallied hard for him to make the movie.
You're everyone's problem.
And the kind of talent that he has, and you see that scene, it's very special. This is very special.
And did you see the story? Anybody want to say more about this?
Just one more on a death. The actor who was 95 who passed away, great actor. I can't think of his name right now off the top of my head. Thank you.
Yeah,
I can speak. It's Gene Hackman.
Oh, Hackman.
Did I hear right that now they're saying his wife died 7 days before he did?
Yes.
That I love how the news reaches you. Usually about 2 weeks later.
I told you. I don't pay attention anymore.
But initially they had no clue. So when you start, remember he had severe Alzheimer's. So she was his caretaker, and it's believed that she had a condition that she thought was, and then boy, this hits home for my family. She had a condition that she thought was the flu, and it was something else. It killed her, which left him and the dogs with no one to care for them. And then 2 weeks passes. Hackman ultimately passes away, and so does the dog. That's the theory.
Oh, boy.
And isn't that just a complex theory of how somebody died? Craziness. And then I wanted to get into this story. Cubs and Athletics game on Monday night had a brief delay when somebody flew a drone onto the field. Did anybody see a video of this? It flew so low that the bat boy for the A's just grabbed it out of the air and stuck the neck of the bat in the propellers. The game was only delayed a few minutes, and then the Cubs continued just destroying the A's. Final score was 18-3. Here's audio.
Crick Council's out talking to the home plate umpire in Adrian Johnson. They're looking out. Something got onto the field.
I think there may have been a question about the drone, and I think we've got a airspace invader. There it is. They got it. Stewie Thalbum to the rescue. Do it, Stu. Stu says, watch your fingers, bud. I'm a pro. Watch your lips, Stu. Goodness.
I love the fact that they know the bad boy's name. That's the luxury of having the home team crew on the call. Davey.
Well, the Sacramento is hosting the Oakland A's for the next 3 years until they can go to Vegas in 2028 because the Oakland Coliseum and couldn't come in agreement with the city of Oakland. So they're playing in a minor league park. So it's probably easy for the bat boy to reach up and swat.
Well, it's also easy for somebody to get a drone into the ballpark.
So they're in Sacramento for the next few years until they go down to downtown Vegas.
Syracuse University has announced that their commencement speaker is going to be I would
love to be there.
Yeah, Carmelo Anthony.
Yep.
And this is going to be a big year for Carmelo because his son is going to be in Syracuse next year, and I really believe we may see a very competitive SU basketball team next year.
Oh, I hope you're right.
Well, they went out to the transfer portal and got a center from UCLA, who I'm not very good, 2.3 points per game.
Well, that's a problem.
They played $1 million for him to come here. That's stupid.
Okay. Maybe you can tell us how you feel after the show. It would be nice. Cully is shaking his head as well. It's not going to happen.
No.
How about football, though? I got to tell you, the football program looking pretty good.
Oh, Fran Brown's done an excellent job,
Yeah.
but the transfer portal and NIL has completely changed the game.
It certainly has. Stand by. Cully is joining. He has a podcast, and he wants to pipe in on NCAA, the tournament this weekend, which we're going to go to Tony's in Washington Mills and watch Florida play on. I have a neighbor friend. Their kid goes to Florida.
Oh, yeah?
And so we're all in on Florida.
He's on the team or he goes to school?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, but it's,
I would have heard about that. It's a couple weeks late, but I would have heard about it.
You might have heard about that if that was true. And she goes to Florida, and so everybody's a big fan. It's pretty cool. I got a break. We have news coming up, and that's top of the hour. Next hour, a whole bunch to get to, including my favorite, the Rosenthal Report. And that's coming up with 3 great legal stories we'll dig into here coming up next hour. Stand by. It's almost 7 o'clock.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jose Lopez from the band Showtime.
I'm Justin from the band Showtime. We'll be the house band on May 10th at the Rome Capitol Theater during CNY On Stage Live.
It'll be a wonderful event full of great acts,
dancers, comedians, and singers.
And you can be one of those singers fronting the band Showtime on the Capitol stage.
Complete details at RomeCapitol.com.
Are you ready to sing in the spotlight on the Capitol stage with Showtime?
We'll see you there.
All of us need to be prepared to defend ourselves and our families, and we need to start with the less lethal option to avoid the legal complications associated with firearms. Byrna has their less lethal pistol launcher. It is equipped with tear gas and kinetic ammunition. It is designed to incapacitate any attacker for up to 40 minutes. Go to their website, byrna.com/Hannity. Right now, you'll get 10% off. Let me tell you this Byrna story. Bob was at home. An intruder physically forced his way inside. Now, luckily, Bob had just received his Byrna 4 days prior to this incident, and he used it to get the man outside and off of his property. Byrna, it's legal in all 50 states. There's no background check needed. It can be shipped directly to your door. Now, see the powerful technology that is Byrna. Go to their website, byrna.com/Hannity. Right now, you'll get 10% off. That's byrna.com/Hannity today.
From the Stanley Theater Studio, WIBX Utica, Rome.
W295EI.
WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM, a Town Square media station.
Republicans will have a little bigger majority in the House. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. After winning 2 special elections in Florida,
I have now gotten your vote because President Trump asked you to vote for me.
Randy Fine and Jimmy Petronas, backed by the president, winning 2 vacant House seats.
And I'm looking forward to working with him to help rebuild our military, to close the border,
to keep men out of women's sports.
Now, they both won by about 14 points in heavily Republican districts, despite being far outspent by Democrats Gabe Valamont and Josh Weil. But in Wisconsin, a conservative backed by the president and millions of Elon Musk's dollars lost a Supreme Court race.
Yeah, I've called Judge Crawford and conceded.
I'm here tonight because I've spent my life fighting to do what's right.
That's Susan Crawford. Her victory will keep the court liberal-leaning. But President Trump liked one election result in Wisconsin, thanking voters on Truth Social for
enshrining the state's voter ID law in their constitution. Trump saying, quote, "This is a big win for Republicans, maybe the biggest win of the night. It should allow us to win Wisconsin like I just did in the presidential election for many years to come."
That's Fox's Brooks Sigmund. And this is what the president calls Liberation Day, announcing more tariffs later on imports.
The full details remain unclear, but what we know so far, reciprocal tariffs could be less than what other countries charge the U.S., and rates may vary depending on country. New tariffs could apply to all countries around the world in sector-specific products. Steel and aluminum, well, those tariffs have already been put on to 25%, and the auto import tariff is expected to start today. That's cars and car parts, and they will begin collected tomorrow.
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson. Actor Val Kilmer's died. The star of movies in the 80s and 90s, from Batman, The Tombstone, to Top Gun.
You figured it out yet? What's that? Who's the best pilot?
Val Kilmer's daughter says he died of pneumonia at age 65. America's listening to Fox News.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular and get your second month free for a limited time. You'll get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month. Here's Veronica and Jackie, real customers.
I didn't know that I could get something for a lot less money that was actually better than who I was with before.
Anytime anybody complains about their cell phone bill, we say, you've got to check out Consumer Cellular.
And now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free when they use promo code SECONDFREE. Just call, click, or bring us your bill and see how much you can save. Because when it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and use code SECONDFREE to get a free second month. Real people paid to share their opinions in this ad. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Senator Cory Booker got some sleep last night after the Democrat pulled an all-nighter and then some Monday night into Tuesday with a marathon anti-Trump speech railing against the president's agenda.
Would the senator yield for a question?
Chuck Schumer, it's the only time in my life I can tell you no.
I just want to tell you a question. Do you know you have just broken the record? Do you know how proud this caucus is of you? Do you know how proud America is of you?
Booker, cheered by Democrats, his 25-hour-plus Senate speech broke Strom Thurmond's record from 1957. Now, today at the Senate, Republicans will hold a hearing like yesterday in the House, considering legislation to limit rulings by judges blocking President Trump's executive actions.
Former House Speaker Newt Gingrich was one of the guests at a House Judiciary Committee hearing on judges Republicans allege have gone rogue and acted as activists.
15 district judges effectively seized control of various executive branch duties in the first 6 weeks of the current presidency through nationwide injunctions.
It comes after a number of court rulings have shot down executive orders signed by President Trump. Democrats accuse Republicans of trying to intimidate judges. On Capitol Hill, Ryan Schmelz, Fox News.
On Wall Street, stocks may drop. Dow futures down almost 200 points ahead of the opening bell. In baseball, the San Diego Padres are 6-0 for the first time ever after shutting out Cleveland. The Dodgers are doing even better.
High fly ball, deep left field. De La Cruz sprinting back. It's gone!
Mookie Betts powered Los Angeles to a 3-1 win over Atlanta on Sportsnet LA. The Dodgers are 7-0, the World Series champs. The Braves, they're the only team in the majors still winless, now 0-6. In hockey, the St. Louis Blues won their 10th straight game, while Alex Ovechkin scored again in Washington's win over Boston. Ovechkin's now just 4 goals away from breaking Wayne Gretzky's NHL career record. I'm Dave Anthony. This is Fox News.
Good morning. We have mostly cloudy skies and now 27 degrees. WIBX 950 AM 92.3 FM news time is 7:05. A new development in the ongoing investigation into the death of an inmate at Mid-State Correctional Facility. A grand jury will be hearing evidence starting next week in the case of Messiah Nantwi. who was taken from the prison last month and passed away at Wynn Hospital. Governor Hochul says there are indications extremely disturbing conduct led to Nantwi's death. Of course, many people have seen the video for themselves. 2 prison employees currently suspended without pay. A dozen more have been placed on administrative leave. They're saying it was not an April Fool's prank. One of Central New York's largest cities getting a brand new chain restaurant that's known for its generous servings, and some thought it was a prank when news broke yesterday. Several days after Denny's confirmed that it was pulling out of the Copper City, Chipotle is ringing the bell and announcing it's time for Rome's restaurant to make room for them. The famed Mexican chain confirmed it's expanding its footprint in Central New York with a second location in Oneida County. The company has establishments already in New Hartford, Fayetteville, Syracuse, and Cicero, and they are soon coming to Rome, right on Black River Boulevard. Shelter and medical assistance needed for 200-plus cats who survived Monday's raging fire at a Suffolk County sanctuary. The owner of Happy Cat, Chris Arsenault, died after running in and out of that facility trying to save the felines. More than 100 cats were killed. The SPCA is coordinating efforts to line up shelters and animal hospitals for those who survived. Still no word on the cause of the deadly fire, but arson and homicide investigators are looking into it. The head of Cinema United is calling for movies to stay in theaters longer. During his State of the Industry address at CinemaCon in Las Vegas, Cinema United president and CEO Michael O'Leary said he'd like studios to keep films in theaters for 45 days. Some studios have their movies stay in theaters for as short as 17 days or a month, making them available on digital platforms instead. O'Leary said there needs to be a system that doesn't pit one sector against another in a short-sighted quest for immediate financial return at the cost of long-term success. He also said that longer stays in theaters could help movies be even more successful when they're made available for home viewing. Actor Dave Coulier says he's cancer-free after being diagnosed last winter. Coulier was diagnosed with stage 3 non-Hodgkin lymphoma in November. Actress Candace Cameron Bure, who was a co-star with Coulier in the sitcom Full House, posted on social media with him and his wife Melissa that he is now cancer-free. Coulier played Joey Gladstone, a main character on the show that aired from 1987 to 1995. WIBX 950 AM 92.3 FM News Time, 7:08. Here's your forecast from Weather Channel meteorologist Ray Stajic.
Cold morning relative to the time of year. Rain showers in our forecast as the clouds thicken through today. Those rain showers toward lunchtime and dinner time especially, about 45 the daytime high. Tonight, showers around 39. Tomorrow, a few showers, maybe a thunderstorm. No severe expected at this time. High 70 degrees. I'm meteorologist Ray Stajic at the Weather Channel on WIBX 950 AM and 92.3 FM.
Still cloudy, still cold, 27 degrees. WIBX 950 AM, 92.3 FM news time is 7:09. All right, in sports, both the Mets and Yankees came up short yesterday. The Mets fell to the Marlins 4-2 at Lone Depot Park. Brandon Nimmo homered in defeat. The two teams will close out their 3-game series coming up this afternoon. The Yankees, their first loss of the season, they fell 7-5 to the Diamondbacks in the Bronx. 3 Yankees went deep, though. Anthony Volpe, Jason Dominguez, and Ben Rice. Yankees a half game back in the AL East. That series will continue tonight again in the Bronx. The fate of the so-called tush push will be decided by NFL owners next month. Multiple reports say that team owners decided to table talks about the play made famous by the Eagles. A proposal about changes to playoff seeding was also shelved for now, at least. Owners have approved some other rule changes at their annual meetings in Florida. Regular season overtime will now see both teams get a possession during the 10-minute extra period, and the ball will now be placed at the 35-yard line for touchbacks. Coming in 2030, they'll start at the 50. It used to be the 20.
I know. I want to at some point, talk to Cully, who played in NFL Europe. I want to get his take on this. What else do you have? Anything else?
What else should I mention here?
And the tush push, it's funny that McDermott is against he's against it, and the Bills use it with Josh Allen. Well, but McDermott wants it gone.
It's true, but I will say this. Maybe the reason he wants it gone is because, it was popularized in Philadelphia with, help me with his name. Is it Hurts? Jalen Hurts? He's a smaller, not that he's frail compared to the average person, but compared to an NFL player, he's quite thin.
Yeah.
So they do this tush push and other guys protect him. Whereas with Josh Allen, he's one of the bigger quarterbacks in the league, and you've seen him truck linemen and other defenders. So if I was the Bills head coach, I would say get rid of the tush push because I know our guy doesn't need it.
Actually, he'll be pulling the lineman from behind.
Exactly.
Okay. Fair enough.
I'd love to get Cully's take on that.
Tush push, Steve. What do you think on it?
I think it is a cheap and easy play. It has over a 75% success rate. I believe Philly was at 85%. Buffalo was at 75%. Short yardage and goal line plays are some of the toughest to execute.
They are, but how
football.
do you police that? How do you take it? How do you say what Josh Allen is doing isn't a tush push?
The rule used to be you could not aid the runner.
You couldn't push the runner from behind.
You could not aid the runner.
So, but you could fall into the runner. You could be
nobody ever blatantly got behind and pushed.
And that's what we're seeing now.
Yes,
and if you fall into your quarterback, you run the risk, just like when he's in the pocket passing, a guy falls into his leg. We saw what happened to Carson Palmer.
No doubt, it's a dangerous.
Right? So you don't want to be falling on your quarterback.
Do you think it goes? Do we think it goes?
No.
Okay.
You think they're going to keep it?
Okay, and then 35-yard line?
That's ridiculous.
Touchback.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. They can fair catch it anywhere in from the 35-yard line in and still get the ball placed on the 35.
That's crazy.
It doesn't have to be caught in the end zone.
That's crazy. Why don't we just start in the red zone?
Because they want more scoring. It's all about ratings. It's all about money.
Yeah.
It's $1 billion industry right now.
Get out of here. I'm kidding. Okay, we got a break. Coming up, we'll do the Jeremy Rosenthal report, where we take 3 legal stories, and he really breaks them down for us. Love the report. Anything further? You're good? Okay, quick break. And
I got another text message from the
Mr. Morehouse. We'll hear from
I'll share that on the other side.
Coming up on the other side at WIBX.
The following heartwarming yet informative scene is brought to you by Trust and Will.
Son, your grandpa and I used to work on this car together, and when I'm gone, I want you to have it.
Wow. Thanks, Dad.
Doesn't count. What you need is a will. Luckily, Trust and Will makes it easy. Designed by attorneys, but customized by you, you can easily create a state-specific, legally valid document that actually counts. Now, let's let the engine do the talking, am I right? Start your will at trustandwill.com. Use offer code COUNT for 20% off and make it count. Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. For details, see trustandwill.com.
Mattress Express's closeout sale on brand new leftover inventory and floor models. Right now, buy a king or queen and get a free adjustable base. Take up to 5 years to pay with no money down for qualified buyers and no credit check payment plans available as well.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, millions of men experience ED, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. At HIMSS, our own board-certified urologist, Dr. Peter Stahl, knows this better than anyone, and he knows that HIMSS can help.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, Senior Vice President of Men's Sexual Health at HIMSS. I've helped many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now, thanks to HIMSS.
Through HIMSS.com, you can access a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs. Options at up to 95% less than the brand names when you get started at hims.com/radio. To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% less than brand name prices, go to hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit.
Stop putting off registering for the 2025 Boilermaker Road Race because it's almost sold out. People are sprinting to Boilermaker.com to grab their racing bibs before they're gone. Reserve your spot at the starting line now and punch your ticket to the world's best post-race party, where there will be live music, drinks, food, and plenty of surprises. This year's Boilermaker will be bigger and better than ever, but the window to sign up is closing. So run, don't walk, to Boilermaker.com and sign up for one of America's most famous races. See you at the starting line, July 13th.
WIBX. This is Keeler. WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM.
Now back to the Keeler Show.
Portions of today's program brought to you by Daylight Donuts, the official coffee of this radio program. Coffee is just so good. It's Seattle's best. Try the iced coffee and their amazing cold brew. Everything is made fresh every morning, including the donuts and the croissants. Now introducing, and I love this breakfast sandwich. If you get a chance to try it, make today the day because it is so good. It is the egg white frittata made with egg white, spinach, tomato, and feta cheese. You can have it on a bagel. You can have it on an English muffin.
Oh, yeah.
But you really want it on you definitely want it on a croissant. And it will melt in your mouth. It's so good. Daylight Donuts in the village of New Hartford.
Look, I know, and I've said this before, and I'm sorry, I'm just being honest. I know it's Daylight Donuts, but I've always recommended, and you know this, the breakfast sandwiches over there. They're phenomenal.
They are. How do I stop it? Would that stop it, Davey? No. I don't know how to freaking stop this stuff here.
You're
It's going to stop on its
trades.
own. It's going to stop. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're going to have to read it in the trades.
I'm going to have to. You may be right. Don't touch anything, Davey. Stop touching things. Unless I need you to touch them, which I really do. Let me go now, ladies and gentlemen. It is time. This is what I'm trying to do, this whole setup. You want to do it? You can do it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the one and only Rosenthal Report. With drama. Okay, it's just not the same, Jeremy. It's just not the same.
Sure it is. It's better. It's better.
It's better.
I love it. It's better. Good morning.
Good morning, Jeremy Rosenthal. Of course, each week we take 3 topics, and you, as an attorney, analyze them for us and really set us straight, and we all need a little bit of that. Let's start with topic number 1. NYPD Blues star Kim Delaney arrested on felony assault charges. What in the hell's going on here?
Yeah, I'm not a big NYPD Blue fan. I get enough Law and Order in my own life. If I don't get it at my house or at the courthouse, I get it at home.
You live
right?
it. Yeah, you live it, for God's sakes.
I live it, right? Kim Delaney's got a lot of problems. There's some issues here. She's struggled with alcohol in the past. I don't know what was going on with this deal. We're still not getting a lot of details. What stuck out to me about the situation was that both she and her partner were arrested. And you don't see that a whole lot in domestic disputes.
Right.
You see him getting arrested or her getting arrested. I mean, police, what happens is they show up and people are breathing heavy and people are drinking. And somebody's bleeding and there's a vase on the floor and nobody's really talking. And somebody's going to spend the night away, right? Because I'm not leaving you two here for you to kill each other.
Right,
and then I lose my job and one of you are dead.
Yeah.
But for both to go to jail is pretty unusual. You just don't see that a lot.
You don't, but it's always funny. I kind of wonder if what happens is the two are at odds. They're throwing things, the vases on the floor, screaming, yelling, punching, kicking, all that stuff. And then the police show up, and all of a sudden, they form a bond against the police.
I've seen that.
And that, I think, is how, that's how this all happens.
Let me clarify. I've seen that in YouTube videos.
Okay.
I've never experienced that firsthand, but you'll see. And
I thought that was an amazing disclosure, man.
No, I'm sorry. Let me clarify that. But you're absolutely right, and you'll see where in this particular case, the one I'm thinking of, the woman was battered, and then the cop as
going to arrest the guy,
right? And she's like,
no,
you're
not touching my man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then she got arrested.
Man, you gotta be a special person, Jeremy, to then come in and represent all of those people. But,
you can't. That's pretty unusual, and it's not one of the things with domestic violence cases. again, I'm a criminal defense lawyer, so this is my life.
Yeah.
People, the husband and the wife will both come into my office and say, and it is. I tell the DA's office, I tell the prosecutors that they are blessed at some point in their career to be rotated through that unit, because your cases are impossibly hard.
Yeah.
For that reason, is that this is the only case that you're going to see where the quote unquote victim is on the defense side.
Yeah.
So you don't see that a lot. Most of these cases, when you're prosecutors, are kind of laydowns, right? They're built for you. Everything's on video. The jury is giving you a high five. Marry my daughter, but this is the one office. These are the cases that are opposite. They're very hard to prosecute.
Yeah, very, very difficult. And, stars are people, too. These Hollywood celebrities are people as well. Topic number 2, Idaho governor signs into law child sex abuse death penalty bill, despite a U.S. Supreme Court ruling. I know that we all want this. When you see that a child has been harmed, you want the worst possible thing for the assailant. But explain this case.
A step too far.
Well,
death penalty?
There's a lot of buts here. There's a lot of buts. I mean, again, going back to being a criminal defense lawyer, this is sort of, again, a day in the life. And you got to be careful, if you're the state of Idaho, of what you ask for.
Yeah.
Think about it like this, and I'm not going to get into whether somebody deserves it, whether they don't deserve it, whether you're for capital punishment, whether you're against it. Here are the numbers. For every capital murder, you might have 1,000 of these types of cases. And that's not to say that sex abuse is so rampant. It's more to the point that capital murder is so rare.
Right.
And you diagnose capital murder 100% of the times, right? Because, is this sexual abuse or not? Is somebody going to make an outcry or not? A lot of sex abuse victims don't tell anybody. But every time there's a capital murder, you find the body with 18 hatchet wounds.
Right.
That's a one-on-one correlation. But you're going to have an error rate. We all know that, and we see cases where, there's some that are slam dunks, that are laydowns, where there's confessions, where they find physical evidence, and those are tragic enough. But you also have a lot of cases where there's a very strong denial, where the defendant passes a polygraph test,
right.
And if you're going to have 1,000 of those cases that are eligible for the death penalty and a 2, 3, 5% error rate, that is a lot of people who could go to the gallows that might not have it coming. So be careful what you ask for here.
Well, and if you've ever spent any time in family court, the problem you have is a 3, 4, 5-year-old child is extremely impressionable, and
right.
A manipulative parent can, or any figure can place a memory in a child's head, and it causes all sorts of. That makes family court so torturous and difficult.
Yeah, see, I represent criminals. I don't slum it in family court.
That's right. I gotta go down that road.
Everybody can look down on somebody else. No, I don't practice divorce because, man, like my case is this. So, okay, off on the side, right?
Yeah.
I love criminal law because the blood was over here, the knife was over there,
right?
The fingerprint was on that thing. But with the divorce, it is like we have fought. We have mediated all day Friday, and then on Sunday the lawyer gets a call that SOB didn't drop the kids off on time.
Yeah, it's terrible.
So it is boom, all undone. So yeah, it's pretty hellacious.
Yep. And
not to mention, you gave the example of hard evidence, where so much of that stuff, I believe, in divorce court or family court is about emotions and how people interpreted somebody else's action. There's no actual evidence. It's just how you made me feel.
Yeah. I've seen it. It can be horrific.
And to kind of circle back on this one more time, yes, absolutely, kids can be impressionable, and parents are imperfect too.
Yeah.
We're not trained on how to deal with an outcry. You have parents who themselves were victims of abuse of some type.
Right.
Who quiz the kids every day when they come home from school? Did somebody touch you? Did this happen?
That's
Did this
exactly
happen?
it. Yep.
And at some point, the kid's going to say yes just to see what happens.
Yeah.
So and it's really tragic. Obviously, sex abuse is a terrible, horrible thing. Needs to be punished very sternly. But again, we got to be careful what we're asking for here.
No doubt. No doubt about it. And by the way, Mike says, for the crime of sexual abuse on children, you really don't need the death penalty. Prison justice usually takes care of the problem on its own. And that is true. A federal judge, topic 3, U.S. judge halts the deportation of a Turkish student at Tufts University. And this is very interesting, and I do want to I have a follow-up on this, but let's start with the topic on its own.
Okay.
What do we think on this case?
Okay, this woman is a Fulbright scholar. She's here on what's called an F1 student visa. She's from Turkey. She comes to the U.S. I don't think it's disputed that she actively took part of pro-Palestinian demonstrations at Tufts University in Massachusetts, I believe. And then last week, some guys on the street just kind of come up to her. They put her in handcuffs. The guys actually put hoods over their faces after this. Yep. I mean, it's on video. And then, boom, she's detained for immigration purposes. We don't know a lot of details about why. They're saying that it's because she's active with Hamas. We've not seen evidence. Maybe that's being withheld. Maybe it doesn't exist. We don't know. So this is, and again, there's not a lot of differentiation between her and other F1 students who are probably getting into some kind of trouble, other than maybe her political views, which is, what do we think of that? I mean,
that's troubling. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm all for free speech, even when I don't like what you're saying.
The problem you have is we are, and this was my follow-up. We are muddying the water when it comes to political opinion and hatred, racism, bigotry, anti-Semitism. This is tricky, right?
Exactly right. And again, I'm with y'all. I'm a big boy, and I can tolerate opinions that I don't like.
Right.
And it makes me the bad guy. It makes us the bad guy when we take you and put you in a cage because of what you believe in.
Right.
That's how they deal with people in North Korea and in Panama and in a lot of these countries that we sort of make fun of. And the question for free speech. And when I talk about free speech, what I tell folks, what I told juries in speech type cases is, look, I don't need the First Amendment. Because, well, I do say stupid things, but because I don't say things that are going to make you want to lock me up in a cage.
Right.
Right. I could get along in North Korea. I'd be fine. Right. But the question is, what about that guy?
Right.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
What would they do to this person in a third world country? And if this is how we're treating Americans or people on our soil, again, the framers of the Constitution figured we'd be smart enough to be able to disagree with opinions that we don't like.
Well, this goes back to, I hate to say it, but this goes back to McCarthyism. This is very, very similar to that. And, you have to understand, if you're brought up and you're a Palestinian and you're brought up and you may have different views than we have in regards to this war and Israel and all of that. And the other thing is, I don't think any of us are good with, we all saw what happened at Columbia. My daughter goes to school in New York, so I've seen it firsthand. And blocking people, calling people, being hatred and anti-Semitism, there's no room for that. Those people need to be, you cannot take over a building in a university. That's breaking the law. If you break the law, you must be dealt with. And if you're a student on a visa and you break the law, I'm okay with you being gone. But if you're a student who simply attends a meeting, again, we don't really know what happened here, and you're being kicked out of the country for that, boy, what message are we sending to the rest of the world?
Absolutely, and again, I mean, you're right on the money here. Look, I mean, when you're an F1 student, you are a guest you're our guest.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
And when you come here, if you were funneling money to Hamas, if you were and burning things, destroying things, blocking roads, that's not speech, that's conduct, and that is not protected.
Yeah.
So it really falls on two fronts. First off, are we targeting you because of your beliefs? Because if there's 1,000 people that we can punish here, and we come and get you, that's a little troubling because of your speech. That's a little troubling, and it's also troubling. Again, just to the general, we don't agree with your point of view, so we're going to throw you out. And what you see in these speech cases, especially with universities, is look, once you turn on that floodgate, everybody gets it, right? We can't have an Israeli-only protest. We're not allowed to do that, and we that may be what some universities want, but that's not how we do it in America.
Yeah. This is very interesting to watch, and I can only imagine for someone who's like yourself, who studied the law, studied the Constitution. Very, very interesting to watch as we move forward.
A lot of potential clients out there. Go get them.
There are a lot of them, Jeremy.
Again, bringing this back to what's important. What matters is the lawyers get paid on time.
Very important. That's right. And you know, this pro bono thing is just for the birds. Let's be honest. I mean, come on.
Look, if I'm going to do pro bono, it's going to be my choice, not the client's choice.
Yes, that is a very good point.
Yes.
All right. Good stuff as always, Jeremy. It's why we love the Rosenthal Report. We got a little in there for you. All right. Have a great week, Jeremy. Thank you.
You too. Bye-bye.
All right. Love the conversation with him. I think he is he's an attorney in Texas. And it's funny because we turned him on to you may have been here during this, maybe not. We turned him on to the Caitlin Connolly case.
Oh, yeah.
And there was one defense attorney in this area that called him up and gave him a piece of his mind on that case. You know exactly what I'm talking about. We will break and come right back. Manaski has an update on the news coming up here. We'll do WIBX free money question. This morning it is worth a whopping
$200.
$200. And we'll do it coming up in a second.
I still have a text message I need to share with you as well. And I will tell you this. Carter shared with me a couple of April Fool's Day pranks that Mama did.
We're going to get into all of that on the other side of the free money question. I've got room to breathe. Coming up, and we'll get to that. It's your April 2nd, Wednesday morning, coming right back at WIBX.
Coming Saturday, April 5th.
The Rome Capitol Theater presenting the Paragon Ragtime Orchestra in a pageant of American music, featuring theater organist David Peckham. The Paragon Ragtime Orchestra is the world's only year-round professional ensemble, recreating America's original music, the syncopated sounds of our country's popular music from the 1890s through the 1920s. Saturday, April 5th at 7 p.m. Tickets and information at romecapital.com.
Tickets on sale now.
Mostly cloudy skies and 27 degrees. WIBX 950 AM 92.3 FM news time is 7:34. Cory Booker broke the record for the longest Senate speech ever, clocking in at just over 25 hours. The New Jersey Democrat is protesting President Trump's tariffs, steps that the president is taking to dismantle the Department of Education, and other policies, saying the nation is in crisis. The longest speech given on the Senate floor was 24 hours and 18 minutes. That was back in 1957. Booker was allowed to take extended pauses for questions from his fellow Democrats. Carbon monoxide poisoning may have caused the death of the teenage son of ex-Yankee Brett Gardner. Miller Gardner died on March 21st while on vacation in Costa Rica following an illness that impacted multiple members of the Gardner family. Investigators say tests showed there were high levels of carbon monoxide contamination in the family's hotel room. The room was right near a mechanical room. Investigators believe some of that contamination may have reached guest rooms at the hotel. The NFL is changing how overtime rules work for this upcoming season after coming to an agreement at their annual league meetings on Tuesday. Owners voted in favor of giving both teams the chance to possess the ball during OT. Teams also approved a proposal to move touchbacks up to the 35-yard line. However, the tush-push and playoff seeding votes are being tabled until next month.
I love the, we'll call it the Josh Allen Buffalo Bills rule. Both teams get to touch the ball in overtime. I think that is, would you, Cully, agree with that? That is the correct move. They did it during playoffs this year, but not during the regular season.
Yeah, it's the only way to do it fairly in the right way.
Yeah, okay.
And it was not an April Fool's prank, but some thought it was. There's a new restaurant chain coming to the city of Rome. It's a very popular one, in fact, Chipotle. Full details right now on our website at WIBX950.com. Right now, cloudy skies, 27 degrees. Here's your full forecast from Weather Channel meteorologist Ray Stajic.
Cold morning relative to the time of year. Rain showers in our forecast as the clouds thicken through today. Those rain showers toward lunchtime and dinner time especially. About 45 the daytime high. Tonight, showers around 39. Tomorrow, a few showers, maybe a thunderstorm. No severe expected at this time. High 70 degrees. I'm meteorologist Ray Stajic at the Weather Channel on WIBX 950 AM and 92.3 FM.
Cloudy 27. I keep saying it, hoping it'll change, but I guess maybe later it will.
All right, I have a lot to get to, and maybe you want to pipe in on these conversations. So we'll talk a little bit about these new NFL rules, a little bit about the NCAA tournament. You have some April Fool's pranks that really worked well yesterday.
For my son, yes.
Okay. And Bill Morehouse has issued a very insulting text message that we're going to share here. Just so you know, Bill, I will respond to this off the cuff. Manaski has not shared it with me.
I've not shared it, and I will tell you this. At least one of the points he made, I agree with at least one of the points he made in the text message.
All right. Okay, we'll get to it with Mr. Morehouse coming up, and I'll say this: Bill and I agree only in one area, and maybe this includes that coming up. Let's do Hobica's free money question of the day. Davey has already made the declaration. It's worth $200, and you're looking for caller number what here this morning?
Caller 5.
Fifth caller right now. Your chance to win $200 from Hobica and WIBX. Caller number 5, 315-736-0186 at WIBX.
William is one of millions of Americans who uses GoodRx to save on the cost of their prescriptions.
My oldest daughter, Camilla, 2 days old, she had to have open heart surgery. All of a sudden, she's on 5 different medications. It adds up at the end of the month. Me and the pharmacist got so tight. She said, GoodRx save you a lot of money. Saving that extra $200-300 a month. We're able to do all these extra activities, so it puts less stress on our household, and it puts less stress on our pockets.
Download the free app or visit GoodRx.com and start saving today. GoodRx user compensated for their time. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance.
All of us need to be prepared to defend ourselves and our families, and we need to start with the less lethal option to avoid the legal complications associated with firearms. Byrna has their less lethal pistol launcher. It is equipped with tear gas and kinetic ammunition. It is designed to incapacitate any attacker for up to 40 minutes. Go to their website, byrna.com/Hannity. Right now, you'll get 10% off. Let me tell you this Byrna story. Bob was at home. An intruder physically forced his way inside. Now, luckily, Bob had just received his Byrna 4 days prior to this incident, and he used it to get the man outside and off of his property. Byrna, it's legal in all 50 states. There's no background check needed. It can be shipped directly to your door. Now, see the powerful technology that is Byrna. Go to their website, byrna.com/Hannity. Right now, you'll get 10% off. That's byrna.com/Hannity today.
Mattress Express's closeout sale on brand new leftover inventory and floor models. Right now, buy a king or queen and get a free adjustable base. Take up to 5 years to pay with no money down for qualified buyers and no credit check payment plans available as well.
WIBX.
This is Keeler.
WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM.
Now back to the Keeler Show.
All right, time for Habaika's free money question of the day. It is worth $200 from Joseph and Andrew Habaika at 315-724-1600. The Habaika Law Firm, 315-724-1600 for all of your legal needs. Joseph is our contestant here, and here he is now. Hi, Joe. Good morning. Good morning, Joseph.
Good morning. How you doing today?
Good. Are you ready to go?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm going to, this is, what's my job called? That's the category. What's my job called? Like, what would you call me?
Disc jockey.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Joseph Stalin.
Okay. I knew I shouldn't have turned your mic on. You would.
I can't say it on the air. I'm kidding.
A-hole? Is that what you're trying to go with?
El Jefe?
Okay, now your mic is going off. Okay, so, and by the way, Gary is available if you want to call him, if you have his phone number. Okay, all right, but don't leave yet because I'm going to need you for this contest. So this is basically, they would call me like a talk show host versus a disc jockey. Disc jockeys play music, but I was once a disc jockey extraordinaire, pretty sure. So here we go with your question. This is, what is it that I do? What is my title? What is my title? Are you ready?
No, he doesn't mean him.
No,
That's the category of the question.
The category of the question, hypothetically, what is my title? But in this case, you're going to have to come up with a title in this world, okay? In this job. If I completely confused you, because I've confused Davey, this will be easy. So here we go. You'll have 7 seconds to answer. And I'll do it in this way. What do you call the guy or woman who is responsible for? I'll do it that way. All right? We're looking for the title, their job title. In insurance, what do you call the person who's responsible for calculating risk and setting the premiums accordingly that you pay? What do you call that person? Ready, go.
I think
Anybody know what you would call
All I can think of is adjuster.
an adjuster.
An adjuster
that's
would be
not it, though.
is not the correct answer.
An assessor?
The person who analyzes all the numbers, and believe me, if you want to know what your world is like, go to an insurance company and talk to the actuary. That is the person who knows exactly what's going on in the world, all the statistics. And that is the person who decides, here's what you should pay for your premium. Actuary is the job title. Yeah. So we were going down. We were going down the road, but you're right. It was a tough one. But I will give you, Joe, the all-in-one food and fun card. But it took us a long way to get around the corner on that one, didn't it? I felt like I was creeping around the corner. We'll give you the all-in-one food and fun card, a $25 gift card. And it's good at the any of the Comets facilities, the Nexus, obviously, the Odd, Cookies, Q and Creamery, 72, Aquavino, Taylor and the Cook. It's a $25 gift card. Stand by. Davey's going to take care of you.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right, sir. Thank you. And I apologize for that tough question. The actuary.
That's good.
Yeah.
That was certainly, as you would say, doable.
It's a $200 question. If you're in the insurance business, you know exactly.
I was going to say, a lot of people are familiar with this. I'm just not up on the lingo.
Yeah, we're the person who I hate is what I call the actuary, because I can't believe I'm paying as much as I'm paying for my auto insurance right now.
It's
terrible.
A lot. Yeah, it's gone up quite a bit.
Yeah, which is why, I feel like statistics need to go away. Let's just bring the rates down. Don't worry about how I drive. Don't worry about the risk. Let me go to, ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell you, Friday night was amazing at the Nexus Center. Sunday night was mind-blowing. It might be one of the most riveting, tense hockey games I've ever seen in my life. And sadly, the Utica Pioneers and believe me, we almost scored. we came on the short end of the stick. And on the line right now is the one and only head coach who almost took us to the national championship, head coach Gary Heenan. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys.
I mean, listen, I am not a hockey analyst, as you have pointed out to me several times. However, that your team played unbelievably well, it seemed, on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, it's to your point. A week ago, we played St. Norbert, and we were the underdog, and 5-time national champs. It was a heck of a hockey game. We went 5-4. And then we go into Nexus. We're underdog in the semifinal. We win overtime 2-1. You get against Hobart, defending national champs, and the top two teams in the country. It's supposed to be a whale of a game.
Yeah.
And it was. We get that first goal, and it was awesome. I mean, it was a great hockey game. It was a coin flip. The boys put it on the line. We hit a post on a breakaway in overtime. They go down with a minute left, the first overtime win. It's a heartbreaker. It really felt like we could have blown the roof off the city.
It would have been. I mean, it was to the point where I have to tell you, there were restaurants saying, if they can pull this game off, we're going to reopen the restaurant. Like on a Sunday night. This was Utica was ready to explode, and Gary, I got to tell you, what a fast game it was. It just was. I mean, I don't know how your players and the players for Hobart, they had to be gassed after that like never before. It was such a fast game.
Yeah, and I think to their credit, they were a little deeper than us. So our top half of the line, we were overplaying, and we needed to win that game in regulation, we felt.
Yeah.
You know, our number one D played 40 minutes of hockey, which is unheard of. So they were gassed. I mean, they were absolutely gassed. They put on the line. I mean, it certainly was right there. Both goaltenders were awesome.
Spectacular, yeah.
But, you never know if you can get back to that game. It's so hard to get to. So, disappointed for sure. And we'll flip the script here and get back to work and build the next one.
Well, and next year, your the Frozen Four will be in Utica, and it will be at the auditorium.
Yeah, I will. And, certainly this year the hype was on and everybody was loving us. And, believe it or not, they weren't blaming me. They were liking me. If we're not in the Frozen Four next year, you'll know how that game will go. So the blame game will start. So, the pressure's on already. We got to get in it. And it's not easy to be a top 4 team in the country. But to your point, we have the facilities, we have the city, we got the school. So it's work the phones and get on the road and find some guys and do our best to get in it.
Well, listen, you obviously have to be proud of this team. And by the way, Friday night, I got to tell you, what a great recovery. You almost went down on your ass on the ice. I mean, you were there after they won the game. Gary's out on the ice, and I'm looking, and boom, and he caught himself. I would have been on the ice.
Well, it was 2 or 3 times because we won like 3 minutes into overtime, and I got the leather sole suit shoes on, which are usually good after a period. But yeah, it wasn't good. I was a little nervous for myself there.
Yeah, it was touch and go. But what I have to say that it was such a letdown that the games were at Nexus, but it was once you entered and we experienced it, that was pretty cool. I really feel like that was a cool atmosphere.
Well, the other teams, who don't or aren't familiar, like Curry's not that familiar with other buildings. They were so complimentary. Like, I think we're going to go down to our national meetings and they're going to say, we don't want it in the odd. We want it right there because it was just a perfect venue for all the games.
It was.
The game that we were involved in, it was packed.
Yeah.
If we're in the odd, that first game's not packed.
You're right.
So, there's positives for sure, but to Rick and his staff down at the Odd. I mean, they were thrown this just a few days earlier. Those guys didn't sleep for a week with everything that was going on. So kudos to them for putting it on. And really the city, the signs all went up and hotels all filled up. And it was all hands on deck. And we're going to get it again next year, but we're going to get it again because nobody does it like us.
I think that's exactly just think about how this was pulled together at the last minute, all with everything going on already, and then everything that's going on this week with a tournament coming in this week on top of all of this. And Jeff Stone and his crew over there, it was just a spectacular. I went home. We're all. I can't imagine what you and your players felt, but to know that your fans went home depressed, literally depressed, and I woke up thinking I had a bad nightmare and I was depressed Monday morning. You have full commitment. You have created an atmosphere here where this is something Utica never had before Pioneers hockey, and that's just such a major accomplishment.
It is, and depression's a pretty loaded word, but
yeah, it is. Sorry,
it is. You got to be careful with that one. But am I depressed right now? I probably am.
Yeah.
It's a tough one. I feel really bad, and it's hard to get there. It really is, and to be so close to getting that done, it just. I wanted it for the city. I really did. I wanted it for our fans who could be on the nutty side.
Yeah.
They can be passionate, which we love, but falling short sucks.
It certainly does.
Well, listen, Gary, it's all your fault.
It's all your fault.
Yeah. I'm just teasing. Congratulations on an incredible year. I know it hurts right now. Don't be depressed. I mean, this is one. My son has told me for 3 days. He was at the game Sunday. He's told me about memories and things that happened, and he according to him, there's a goal that you guys should have got credited for that was taken away. I mean, what? Bill, you said it all. I just want to congratulate you, and that's an outstanding program, and I hope it continues to grow.
Yeah, pretty awesome. And I did have a Curry fan. I nicknamed him A-hole. He didn't understand when they were yelling, "It's all your fault." I had to explain to him, listen, this is what they do. It's not personal.
It's a scene from a movie, right?
Turning around trying to explain to them, well, he was the National Player of the Year. I mean, what are you talking about? I'm like, listen, buddy, it's just what they do. Suck
it up. We're around here, okay? Let us be
nuts.
nuts.
Up, for God's sakes. All right.
Yeah.
And Gary, personally, our hearts go out to you and your family. I know that there's been a loss. So
yeah, I appreciate it.
We to be able to do all of this during all of that, you're very much appreciated. So thank you so much for taking the time this morning.
Thanks, guys. Have a great week.
You too. Head coach Gary Heenan, and he did have a loss in his family. So our hearts and prayers, thoughts and prayers go out to the Heenan family here today. Quick break. We'll come right back. And no break. You want me to go to the top? Davey, explain it. I can't read your hand language. You're giving me.
The only one who would know is these two guys. Go up to the top. Go to the top. Go to 5950.
All right. I needed a transition after that. There was
I was going to say
sentimental moment. I needed but it is. I mean, listen, everything's got to go on, right? You can't walk away.
Unfortunate.
All right. So I will switch gears. Let's do. You had. So the Morehouse comment.
Okay, here we go on Bill Morehouse. So this is, I hope you've been listening throughout the morning, but this is a conversation that we
he started right
Bill Morehouse texted me early this morning, 6:30. He says, okay, so this is about Trump, and this is about things that he's doing, and we had a conversation about, I guess, political stuff.
It was DFAS maybe hitting another round of cuts.
All right, so Comptroller Morehouse says, there's jobs that aren't necessarily in Utica. Just look at the DPW. When fully staffed, they're at 72 people. We've now cut that to 48. Who suffers? The people and their services. Easy for you to take shots at me, Bill. You've got the platform. You go, big guy.
Okay, Bill, you take shots at me every day. Put your big boy pants on.
The other thing is, this is the part where I wanted to say I actually agreed with the point that he made, and it correlates to my concern with that I like a lot of the stuff Trump's doing. My fear is he goes too far. When he says here, we're fully staffed at 72, but we only have 48, and the people and the services are what gets affected, that's, I'm not speaking for you, but why I was criticizing taking the knife and cutting too far, because the services and the taxpayers are the ones who end up suffering. So, again, I think we're all in favor of the fraud, waste, abuse, and whatever cliche you want to throw in there. And Bill, I agree with you.
We're not in favor of fraud, waste, and abuse.
Cutting it. Thank you.
We're in favor of that. However,
unless I'm getting paid, I'm not in favor of
as a physician I was sitting with in a very vulnerable position recently, said to me, we need to be cutting with a scalpel, not a chainsaw.
Yes.
And that I agree with you. I think there should be, if there is fraud, which there will always be someone trying to take advantage of the system. It's always going to happen. Mm-hmm. There's going to be somebody who's working but collecting unemployment, and we catch those people, and when they're caught, they are arrested, as they should be. So if there's fraud, we shouldn't. And again, the fraud part that I'm talking about, I don't think we've not seen the proof. We're told by Elon Musk that there's fraud and abuse. If there's fraud and abuse, these people shouldn't be let go. They should be arrested. And if they're not being arrested, explain to us why. Why have we discovered fraud and we haven't arrested them? Or is there fraud? Is there waste? We know there's waste. But is there fraud? Is there abuse? Because that's illegal. And I know there was a woman in Herkimer, Little Falls, that just got arrested for alleged fraud when it comes to welfare. Over what? $3,000? So where all this fraud is in America, why are we not arresting people? I don't understand that. Or maybe there isn't fraud. Maybe it's just a word we're using. So the proof is in the pudding. Where's the pudding? That's all I'm saying. Your son and his April Fool's pranks.
So I happened to get up pretty early yesterday morning, not as early as I got up today. So it was April Fool's Day, and I wanted to stop and see him, try to give him a hug and a kiss any chance I get. So he answers the door. He's got this big smile on his face. I said, "What's going on?" He goes, "Happy April Fool's Day." I said, "What's going on, bud?" He goes, "Look what Mama did." So what she did was, I think there were 4 of them. 2 of them come to mind. He got up in the morning. She made him breakfast. She made him eggs and toast and all this other stuff. But before she was cooking that, but the night before, she put a bowl of, like a cereal bowl filled with water in a spoon in it in the freezer. And then yesterday morning, covered it with his breakfast cereal that he likes. So when he sits down and
That's a good one.
And he grabs the spoon, all the cereal comes flying out of the bowl.
That's
and
a
it's
good one.
stuck in a. I thought that was great. I told her I thought that was really awesome.
I gotta tell you, my mother's sitting at home right
She
now
also
saying,
gave him-
how did I not think of that? That's a great one.
And she also gave him, took the cheese puffs out of a cheese puff bag and threw carrots in there that she had shaved down to make them look like cheese puffs.
That's awesome.
And he didn't find out about that one until he sat down for lunch yesterday at school.
Well, those little mini carrots, those baby carrots, are really tasty.
Well,
So maybe,
not as tasty as a cheese puff.
Apparently not.
That's what he got yesterday.
That is wild. Okay, next hour, we have a bunch to get to. We're going to speak with Mark Donovan, president of the Boilermaker, and get an update there. We'll speak with Stacey Haynes. She is the executive director of Susquehanna SPCA and all of what's going on down in New Berlin. And then, Cully, you have who's coming on?
Maria Conlon, former UConn legendary basketball player, winner of 3 national championships, and now the head women's basketball coach at Western Connecticut State University.
She is coming on with us. And Ryan Nobles from NBC as well coming up.
Maria loves me.
Next hour.
From the Stanley Theater Studio, WIBX Utica, Rome.
W295EI.
WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM, a Town Square media station.
A
win in Wisconsin for Democrats. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. It keeps the state Supreme Court liberal-leaning.
This campaign has been an incredible, life-altering experience.
Susan Crawford won the most expensive state Supreme Court race in U.S. history. About $100 million were spent, a lot of it by Elon Musk, backing conservative Brad Schimmel.
I can't thank you enough for everything you did to try to make this a success, but just didn't work.
2 Republicans won special elections in Florida.
You have entrusted me with something extraordinary, the opportunity to go and fight for you.
Randy Fine and Jimmy Petronis won open seats in Congress in heavily Republican districts despite being far outspent by Democrats in the campaign. It gives Republicans a slightly bigger House majority, 220 seats. President Trump is readying new tariffs today on more imports, targeting countries that charge for American exports. He calls it Liberation Day.
There's still a lot, though, that's still unknown, including what the president's announcement entails, the full details, also what countries might be able to work out deals to avoid this crackdown.
That's Fox's Jackie Heinrich at the White House. They pulled another survivor from earthquake rubble in Burma, buried alive over 100 hours. But the number of deaths, nearly 3,000. Israel has hit Gaza with airstrikes that Palestinians say killed 30 people. The Israelis say they targeted a Hamas terror command center.
The militant group still holds 59 captives, of whom 24 are believed to be still alive. An estimated 140,000 people have been told to evacuate this week alone as the Israeli armed forces ramp up their offensive.
Fox's Jonathan Savage, a star of movies in the 80s and 90s, has died. Val Kilmer.
You figured it out yet? What's that? Who's the best pilot?
Kilmer's best known for his role as Iceman in Top Gun, playing him again in the sequel a few years ago.
The Navy needs Maverick.
That was Kilmer's last role. His voice weakened after throat cancer. Val Kilmer died of pneumonia at age 65. America's listening to Fox News.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to Big Wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular and get your second month free for a limited time. You'll get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month. Here's Veronica and Jackie, real customers.
I didn't know that I could get something for a lot less money that was actually better than who I was with before.
Anytime anybody complains about their cell phone bill, we say, you've got to check out Consumer Cellular.
And now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free when they use promo code SECONDFREE. Just call, click, or bring us your bill and see how much you can save. Because when it comes to Big Wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and use code SECONDFREE to get a free second month. Real people paid to share their opinions in this ad. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Yet another federal judge has ruled against President Trump. This one out in California, ordering legal aid be restored to unaccompanied migrant children in the U.S. after legal aid groups had sued over their funding being cut by the Trump administration. Now, the Senate is going to hold a hearing this morning into what Republicans call judicial activism, the day after a similar House hearing.
These rogue judge rulings are a new resistance to the Trump administration.
Congressman Darrell Issa at yesterday's House hearing, he's proposing legislation to limit the scope of those rulings, not allowing nationwide injunctions. But Democratic Congressman Hank Johnson says judges need to step in to rein the president in.
Trump acts first, he deports first, he revokes funding first, he blacklists law firms first, and then questions anyone who challenges him later.
Another hearing focused on the thousands of newly declassified files from the Kennedy assassination ordered by President Trump, documents sealed for decades.
Vietnam Army veteran and filmmaker Oliver Stone asking lawmakers to reopen the investigation into President Kennedy's 1963 assassination.
The chain of custody on the rifle, the bullets, the fingerprints, the autopsy.
Stone co-wrote and directed the 1991 political thriller titled JFK, which depicts the killing as a government conspiracy.
What did the CIA know about Lee Harvey Oswald, and when did they know it? A whole lot.
Journalist and expert researcher on the topic, Jefferson Morley, telling lawmakers he believes Kennedy's own government was the intellectual author of the president's violent death, and Oswald was influenced by the CIA. Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
On Wall Street, there could be more selling at the opening bell. Dow futures are down 200 the day after a slight 11-point Dow decline to start April after a big March sell-off. The NASDAQ gained 150 points to start the month. I'm Dave Anthony, and this is Fox News.
Mostly cloudy skies, 29 degrees, WIBX 950 AM, 92.3 FM news time is 8:05. Good morning, I'm Jeff Manaske. The latest development in the ongoing investigation into the death of an inmate at Mid-State Correctional Facility. A grand jury will hear evidence next week in the case of Messiah Nantwi, who was taken from the prison last month and passed away at Wynn Hospital. Governor Hochul says there are indications extremely disturbing conduct led to his death. 2 prison employees are currently suspended without pay. 12 more have been placed on administrative leave. Tolls are increasing at 3 bridge crossings near Niagara Falls on May 1st. Niagara Falls Bridge Commission announced Monday the Rainbow Bridge, Whirlpool Bridge, and Lewiston-Queenston Bridge are impacted because of increased costs related to materials and ongoing maintenance expense. Standard passenger vehicles will now pay $6 and $34 for standard 5-axle vehicles. Officials say commercial traffic is about the same, but auto traffic has substantially reduced, over 14% compared to the same time last year. They say it's possibly influenced by the current exchange rate and the political environment. Carbon monoxide poisoning may have caused the death of the teenage son of ex-Yankee Brett Gardner. Miller Gardner died on March 21st on vacation with the family in Costa Rica after an illness that impacted several members of the Gardner family. Investigators revealed that tests show there were high levels of carbon monoxide contamination in the family's hotel room. The room was right near a mechanical room. There is concern that some form of contamination may have reached guest rooms at the hotel. President Trump says today is Liberation Day, with new U.S. tariffs set to take effect against Canada, Mexico, China, and the European Union. The president said he could care less if automakers raised prices due to the implementation of a 25% tariff on all foreign automobiles. In an interview with NBC News over the weekend, the president said he didn't care if automakers raise prices, and in fact, he hopes they do, because he thinks people will start buying more American-made cars. Trump also imposing tariffs. He says those tariffs will be permanent. WIBX 950 AM, 92.3 FM news time. Coming up on 8:08, cloudy skies, a chilly start, 29 degrees. Here's your forecast from Weather Channel meteorologist Ray Stajic.
Cold morning relative to the time of year. Rain showers in our forecast as the clouds thicken through today. Those rain showers toward lunchtime and dinner time especially, about 45 the daytime high. Tonight, showers around 39. Tomorrow, a few showers, maybe a thunderstorm. No severe expected at this time. High 70 degrees. I'm meteorologist Ray Stajic at the Weather Channel on WIBX 950 AM and 92.3 FM.
Again, cloudy and 29 at 8:08. In sports, a pair of losses. Mets and Yankees both coming up short last night. Mets on the road in Miami. They fell 4-2 to the Fish. They're a game and a half back in the NFL East. In the NL East. The Yankees, their first loss of the season, they fell 7-5 to the D-backs in the Bronx. Jason Dominguez, Anthony Volpe, and Ben Rice all went deep in defeat. Giancarlo Stanton is not making any excuses for his injuries. The Yankee slugger declined to say whether he believes using the torpedo bat last season caused the tendon ailments in both of his elbows. Stanton alluded to bat adjustments as a possible reason to the tennis elbow that he's now dealing with. The 35-year-old will continue using the torpedo bat when he returns from injury. Volpe, Jazz Chisholm Jr., Cody Bellinger, Paul Goldschmidt, and Austin Wells were among those using the torpedo bat last week.
Do you have an opinion on the torpedo bat?
Oh, you felt it coming, huh?
Yeah.
I think as long as it's legal, they should be able to use it. But I feel like this is an excuse that, or maybe I'm wrong, but that the media tries to connect dots sometimes when you need multiple dots in between before you connect the line.
Well, you got an Aaron Judge who hit 3 home runs the other day, and he is not using the bat.
And can I just say, look, I know pro tennis.
However, to be fair, if a pitcher starts giving up home runs that could be caused by the torpedo bat, it gets into their head, and chances are, if they're still out there, they're going to give up more.
Yeah.
I mean, it can have a domino effect, but
I don't know if I buy that this led to the issue of his tennis elbow. And let's be honest, Yankee fans, the guy's on the DL so much. How many times did he swing the bat last year? He's always on the DL. He's in phenomenal shape. No expert here. I've got the waistline to prove it. Not a physical specimen anymore, at least.
Oh, no expert when it comes to being in good shape. Okay.
Or swinging a baseball bat, frankly.
Yeah.
I don't think I play wiffle ball with Carter in the backyard quite a bit, but the idea that just simply changing the shape of the bat when it still weighs the same, I understand the distribution of weight might be slightly different, but a top-level athlete like that it leads to his tennis elbow?
Yeah.
I don't know.
You're not buying it. Anything else? You good?
Quickly on the NFL, we touched on this morning, but touchbacks are now at the 35-yard line.
I'm surprised about that, but
me too.
I mean,
why don't they just give it to him at midfield?
I got to say, if you get the ball to the 35-yard line, you're a pass or two away from kicking a field goal.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. A 15 yards, you're at the 50 already.
Yeah.
And the way kickers kick now.
Yep.
I completely agree, Bill. The other thing is they changed the overtime rule.
It is going nowhere.
The tush push? I don't think it's going away.
Yeah.
Well,
they're going to keep it.
Steve, you made a point last hour about money and offense and scoring, and I agree with that point. But to me, just my fan perspective, the tush push is like one of the most boring plays in baseball. You know it's coming.
Football,
you can tell by the way they line up.
It's unstoppable.
And if I wanted to watch that, I would be a rugby fan, frankly.
What I find interesting is it must be more difficult to be on your heels. Well, that makes sense, right?
Sure.
So because one would think that if the offense is doing a tush push, then the defense does a tush push, and you would just stay there at the 1 yard line. Nobody would go anywhere. But the advantage is with the offense, and why is that?
Because the push.
They're pushing forward.
The pushing.
Yeah.
They usually put a heavier offensive lineman, tight end, fullback right behind there to aid the quarterback to get that extra yard.
But did you ever really think about it, though? You are pushing, right? So you're the offense.
You're driving.
You're pushing.
Yes.
But if you're the defense, you're also pushing.
But you're also pushing against an offensive lineman.
Right. Okay.
So you're pushing against an offensive lineman, and you got to try to stop a quarterback who's getting aided by an offensive lineman.
Okay. All right.
So it's just an extra element to it.
So the advantage is with the offense.
Much. It's
by
85% success rate by the Eagles, 75% by Buffalo.
That's really crazy.
What is
the works.
Those are great stats. I wonder what the stat is, though, league-wide. Do you have that
The
one?
league-wide is lower.
Sure.
Buffalo and Philly dominate as far as success rate. Like the Giants tried to do it. The Giants are horrible at it.
Well, we didn't have a quarterback for 6 years.
Well, you also have to have the right people on the line.
Like Refrigerator Perry was ahead of his time. He'd be a great fullback if this is what you're doing.
That is true. Mike, do you want to pipe in on this?
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Yeah, I just want to comment. So yesterday was a good example too with the Yankees because Arizona had good pitching, right? So this whole thing with the torpedo bats, that did tear it down. It was interesting though that I think he uses a torpedo bat, right? He had the home run, but the other ones, most of them weren't.
I got to tell you that I thought was sorry to cut you off, but I thought was very interesting. And it was Ron Darling or is using it right now.
Linder. Linder. I think Linder is right.
Lindor. Yeah.
Lindor. I believe I heard that he is.
You may be right, but he's not hitting the ball at all right now.
But one thing what's interesting too is Judge struggled, right? He struggled last night, but during the series with the Brewers, right? Because he had 3-4 home runs.
Yeah.
But the thing in that series is, like I was saying, the people around him were really successful, like Volpe and Bellinger, and they use the torpedo bats. And then it's almost like the pitcher's going to pitch differently at Judge, and they're not going to bat around, especially if the people around him are getting hits.
Yeah.
So even though he's not using it, it can still affect him indirectly.
Interesting.
That's why it's going to be really interesting to see how the next games go with the pitching But I think it just levels the playing field overall, and that's because pitching, I think, for years has had the advantage.
Yeah. All right, interesting, Mike. Thanks, man. Have a great day. A couple of other comments on this, on the football. The defense is going back, is what Wayne is saying, which was the answer to my question. And then Mike this morning says they'll allow the tush push until a quarterback gets a major injury. And that could very well be true. Because you are dealing, you realize you're dealing with, when both sides are pushing, there is that smaller quarterback there in the middle that's being crushed, kind of.
Sandwiched.
Yeah, sandwiched, as they say in East Utica. A couple of others. Big Honey. I wonder if Utica University, would have had a different result had the game been played at the odd.
That's an interesting question.
I wonder. And Deeds in New Hartford, he asked Jeremy what he thinks about the Pam Bondi situation, recommending the death penalty for the Luigi the hero. Well, I'm sorry I didn't see that, but maybe I'll hit him with that next week. Okay.
Can I just say on the Luigi thing?
How we are defending this kid blows my mind.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you.
Like there are people that think he's a hero. I mean, I'm assuming Deeds, when he says that, is being sarcastic.
Can I just say, though, if there was ever a CEO or a founder that deserves something maybe not nice to come to him, I'm going to say whoever started Chewy, because I deliver those boxes, and they're all like 80 pounds, okay? I wish I had the workload that the guys had before Chewy started. Obviously, Jess, don't hurt this guy, please.
Are there dogs sitting there waiting for you to show up, like in the commercial?
Sometimes, yes. As a matter of fact, someone said to me yesterday, you know, the UPS guy always brings them treats, right? And, yeah, I deal with a lot of dogs. I've had quite a few encounters. I've only been bitten once.
You have been bitten, yeah.
It was more of a nip, but I consider it a bite. But he or she got my knee.
We had a postal carrier that used to carry like pepper spray.
Oh, wow, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
But a lot of the guys, you'll see it right in the front window of their truck. They got the little the biscuits. I can't think of the brand off the top of my head.
Yeah, that might be a better way to do it, as the biscuit as opposed to the pepper spray. All right, GPO, Federal Credit Union. Simplify your finances with balanced transfer rates as low as 3.99% APR for 12 months, or consolidate high-interest debt into one manageable payment with their personal loans. And it doesn't stop there. GPO has partnered with Balance, a program to provide with people with free virtual or in-person sessions with financial advisors. Together, they'll create a personalized plan to help you take control of your finances. Why wait? Let GPO help you start fresh in 2025. Visit gpofcu.com or stop by any branch today. Debt-free, stress-free. Start your journey with GPO today. Subject to credit approval, membership eligibility required, rates and terms based on credit worthiness, balance transfer rates revert back to the normal card rate after the 12th month. Contact GPO for more information. Wayne says, tell Jeff, once bitten, twice shy, baby. And Lucia, stand by. I'll take you when I come back, along with Mark Donovan from the Utica Boilermaker Road Race coming up.
Every once in a while, something that sounds too good to be true is actually, in fact, true. How would you like up to $4,000 of free windows? And when I say $4,000 of free windows, I mean $4,000 of free windows. No gimmicks or games. You don't have to buy $4,000 to get $4,000 free. You just get up to $4,000 of free windows through Patriot Home Solutions and NYSERDA. Of course, some restrictions apply, but none of these restrictions are income-based, and you don't have to sit through a long, drawn-out sales presentation. Give Patriot a call at 315-401-0440, and they can quickly tell you over the phone if you qualify or how you can get qualified. That's 315-401-0440. These aren't any windows. They're high-quality, custom-fitted windows designed to save energy and keep the cold air out all winter. Your window solution is Patriot Home Solutions. Online at patriothomesolutions.com.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jose Lopez from the band Showtime. I'm Justin from the band Showtime. We'll be the house band on May 10th at the Rome Capitol Theater during CNY On Stage Live. It'll be a wonderful event full of great acts, dancers, comedians, and singers. And you could be one of those singers fronting the band Showtime on the Capitol stage.
Complete details at RomeCapital.com.
Are you ready to sing in the spotlight on the Capitol stage with Showtime? We'll see you there.
Hey, Central New York, this is Will Kane of The Will Kane Show, and you can now hear my show every weekday at WIBX. I do things a little differently when I'm behind the microphone because I turn it over to the listeners to learn and really dig into the issues that impact everyday Americans. The Will Kane Show lets you keep ahead of the headlines and understand what's really going on in the world with in-depth discussion from leading experts and the brightest minds. From politics to sports, nothing is off topic. Listen to The Will Kane Show weekdays at 6, only on WIBX 950 AM and 92.3 FM.
WIBX.
This is Keeler.
WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM.
Now back to the Keeler Show.
A couple of comments here, and Cully, I'll let you answer to this if you like.
I get
Richard,
to talk?
Richard says, you realize overtime is 10 minutes long, so let's say both teams get the ball. If the first team holds it for 9 minutes and the other team only gets 1 minute with the ball, think about that. What about that complication?
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why they didn't do it in the first place, because they didn't want games extended so it would prevent injury. There was a thought of preventing
This is
injury,
going to
but-
have to extend games, though.
Yeah, it would go into double overtime, I believe.
Yeah,
I don't think it wouldn't end in a tie. It would end in a tie, yes. It would end in a tie.
All right. Let me go to Lucia. You have a comment here. A take, Lucy? Good morning.
Oh, hi. How are you doing, Bill?
Good.
I'm sore a little bit. I went to therapy
You did, okay.
for my neck, yeah. So now I can teach you.
Very nice. Back therapy
I found a good one, because I got burned somewhere. They burned my knee.
Okay.
First degree, yeah, burned.
Well,
So I got a really good one, and, it's Ryan Monaco, if you interested.
Okay.
I hope you never need it, but, it's really, really great.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
a little plug there, following in the footsteps
yeah.
of Joe Lode here today. Very nice.
Is he? Oh, how's he doing?
I don't know. I haven't heard from Joe, but I'm saying you're kind of following in the
I don't
footsteps.
I don't even would recognize him if I saw him out,
Probably not.
Yeah.
All right, Lucy, we appreciate that. Thank you.
So listen, Bill, you have a great day.
You have a wonderful day as well. Thank you so
I hope
much.
you feel better. Were you feeling under the weather?
No, I'm not. I was, but I'm not now. So
Somebody told me. Okay.
I'm above the
okay.
weather now. Above the weather.
Good. It's so exciting. Yeah.
Okay.
Bye.
All right, Lucia, thank you. In studio right now is Mark Donovan. Mark, good morning.
Good morning. How you doing today?
We're talking to you, and that means we're getting closer to better weather.
Yes. Hey, before we jump into it, I just do want to say when Davey came to get me from the green room, I had this sudden urge to need to use the bathroom.
You did. That ran right into the bathroom. I wonder what's going on
I
in
don't know.
that bathroom.
It might be. You might want to check the filters in there.
People love that bathroom just before they come in. There's a little Constantino move there. I like that. Good.
I digress.
Good move. I love that digression. All right. So here we go. We're. I know that on TV we're watching the what do they call it? Go the distance.
Go the distance. Yeah.
That's underway. You're beginning to see people out running because it was a long winter.
Long winter. Took a long time for that snow to go away.
It did. Wow. What do we have for an update?
We got a lot going on. Right out of the gate here, the Oneida County History Center on Genesee Street is hosting a panel discussion on April 12th at 2 o'clock. They do great work in that building.
Yeah,
It's a big, beautiful building that you drive by a lot of times. You encourage people to stop
Get
in
inside,
on any good day. But we've enlisted the help of Joe Kelly, John Pederesi, Jim Stasitis, and Vicki Townsend from our team. Panel discussion of the history, challenges, and where we need to go in the future.
Oh, that's very interesting.
So very cool. Excited about that. Yeah. Erie Canal is another event, doesn't get a lot of play. It's a 10-mile relay and a 5K. That's on May 18th. People should know there's only 6 spots left in the 10-mile. If you're looking to do a relay, so you only have to do half.
Okay.
There's
right.
9 teams left in that and 20 spots in the 5K. So that'll be gone pretty soon. So if you're interested in getting out, it's a great training run for the Boilermaker.
Nice.
Today is National Walking Day.
I did not know that.
Did not know that, right?
Yeah.
So today, the Boilermaker Walk registration is open as we speak.
Davey, you won't have to carry me to the car today. I'll walk. I'm going to walk it. I'm going to walk it. So we should be good. Listen, there are a lot of people out there. I have not seen so many people as in the month of March that are out walking. The minute the weather gets above, 25, they're out and walking. The sun is shining. People needed to get out.
Fresh air,
and it feels
vitamin
good.
D deficiencies.
Yep. Yes, sir. How are what are the numbers on the race again?
So the Boilermaker itself's in good shape, tracking along what we did last year. So over 10,000 combined so far.
Wow, nice.
The flagship, the 15K is 3/4 full. So that keeps
really
moving.
good. Yeah.
And 5K is always a lag.
Yeah.
This is the time of year where sunshine again, people get out.
People are thinking about it,
participate,
including Manaski, who's just saying that he's thinking about it. Right? You're considering.
Can I still sign up for the 5K?
You can sign up for whatever you'd like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Both are open. 15K and 5K.
And he's a huge helper to this event. You know,
he is.
He's been the part of the voice at the finish line for
So
years.
what Mark is saying is he would rather you not sign up, but if you do, that would be awesome, I guess.
Mark is saying, we do a committee run the weekend before.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
You still do that, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's my avenue.
Right.
If you'd like to have me back, maybe that's the avenue I should pursue.
Whatever works for you. We want people to be comfortable.
And hearing that recognizable voice at the very end is something people become comfortable with when they're running. So that could also, he could be lending to that comfort. Anything else you need people to know at this point?
We're always looking for volunteers. So if you're not a runner, and I'm not a runner, but always need help in various places. A lot of info, just Boilermaker.com. Everything you need to find out is on Boilermaker.com. So if you want to help out, be a part of this great event, we can find a spot for you.
Okay. All right. And let's see. I love the entertainment side. So the post-race party is always my favorite moment of, and it's very interesting over the years, whether it be the performances or who's going to sing the national anthem, whether Schumer is going to try to get on stage and talk to everybody. These are all big questions that are.
I've got the last one covered, but the other ones are always wide open. And looking forward to getting together with you.
I am as well.
Map it out.
Love it. So great event. Good to see that we're getting back.
Yes,
we really are getting back to those numbers prior to COVID.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
Looking forward to
another
great
Mark,
day.
Good stuff. Thank you, Mark Donovan. We'll come right back with a guest that Cully has set up here. Pretty excited about
Procured.
it. Procured. Listen, UConn basketball is enormous, but it's enormous on the women's side.
Yes.
And a national champion coming up. Stand by. We'll get to it at WIBX.
Now, you know that no one else in New York State has all the brands under one roof that Mattress Express has. Tempur-Pedic, Stearns & Foster, Sealy, Purple, Puffy, the Smart Bed by Instant Comfort, Posh & Lavish, Therapeutic, and the largest selection of FlexEd beds in New York State. But when these companies come out with new models, we get left with brand new inventory of the old model and floor models that we have to sell off as clearance, and that's where you save. These come with the full manufacturer's warranty, many of them still in the original packaging, brand new stuff. Right now, come into Mattress Express, pick a king or queen clearance model and even some new models and get a free adjustable base. Save over what you would have paid originally and get a free adjustable base. Take up to 5 years to pay with no money down for qualified buyers, and we have no credit check payment plans. Go to mattressexpressny.com for locations. Call 1-800-NEW-BEDS.
The following heartwarming yet informative scene is brought to you by Trust and Will.
Son, your grandpa and I used to work on this car together, and when I'm gone, I want you to have it.
Wow. Thanks, Dad.
Doesn't count. What you need is a will. Luckily, Trust and Will makes it easy. Designed by attorneys, but customized by you can easily create a state-specific, legally valid document that actually counts. Now, let's let the engine do the talking, am I right? Start your will at trustandwill.com. Use offer code COUNT for 20% off and make it count. Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. For details, see trustandwill.com.
WIBX.
This is Keeler.
WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM.
Now back to the Keeler Show.
All right, I want to, for those that don't know, Steve Cully has been in studio here this morning. Steve played college football for UConn. He then went, I do remember following him to Buffalo Bills. He tried out for the open tryout for the Bills.
So memorable.
We actually made the trip with him for that. And we turned it into a spectacle.
It was.
And then you played NFL Europe as well. So
that is so awesome, man.
You also have an amazing story.
Yes.
There's a group in Hartford. I love what this guy Razul is doing there. And he has a big event coming up, and you're going to be a keynote speaker,
which is scary.
In fact, you with an injury fell into the opioid world.
Yes,
and that's part of the story you're going to tell.
Yes,
I did not know this, but the 3/4 of people. This is the stat you gave. 3/4 of people who fall into opioid abuse do not survive.
They relapse and die.
Staggering. That is a staggering number.
It is.
Yeah. But his group, what they do is they create homes to get people back on their feet.
House of Changes, yes.
A House of Changes.
They got social workers, case management.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So with all of this, talk about Maria here.
Maria Conlon. She is a legendary UConn basketball player. She won national championships when they had fantastic teams with Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird, Swin Cash, Shea Ralph, and others. She is now the head coach at Western Connecticut State University, and she is also my co-host on Husky Talk Conversations with Cully and Conlon, and she is here to break down the USC victory and how she sees the rest of the way going for the Final Four against UCLA or if they play against South Carolina.
Maria, good morning.
Morning, guys. How are we?
Good. Has Cully ever sung Jewel to you? Have you ever experienced that?
Yeah, I've experienced Steve singing quite a few times.
Yes.
He's got a... He's what does Will Ferrell say in Step Brothers? He's got a voice. It's like Fergie and Jesus combined.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you.
I love it.
Yeah.
All right, listen, I got to tell you, I mean, I do remember, and actually, Jeff, I want to bring you into this because it was you that took a lot of heat for this comment back, and it was a fair comment back maybe 10 years ago when there was always the talk about parity with women's sports, and I think it started out with soccer or WNBA, and your comment was always, listen,
I don't think that the pay should be equitable in that particular case that you're talking about. Well, let me finish.
Let him finish. And
I felt like the U.S. women's soccer team should have been paid more than the men at that time. There were more fans into it. They were a more competitive and more successful team. I felt like the men were being overpaid and the women were being underpaid.
Now, he has skewed his story just a little bit since...
What?
The story is the same, but it all started by saying when the women have enough people in the stands to warrant salaries like the men, then...
Well, I'm sorry. That's my take.
How do you feel on that, Marie? Because I got to tell you, the world of women's sports has changed and exploded. It's incredible where we are right now. So how do you take his comment there?
I think that's a common feeling, amongst a lot of different demographics over the years. And I think, one of the things we have to realize is that sometimes it takes time to build up a fan base, to get traction, to get awareness out there, which I think the women have done a really good job of the last 5 or 6 years, and I think now we're starting to see the fruits of that labor.
Yeah, I got to tell you, the fact that, and it took the step had to be made, right? That all of a sudden it's on TV, it's available, it's easy to watch, and it is entertaining. Richard this morning piping in saying, "Do you realize the women's Final Four draws a bigger crowd than the men's Final Four on TV by over 5 million viewers?" Wow. We obviously, that was last year. Those numbers were huge last year, and that's
I think one of the things that people have always appreciated about women's sports is the way that they play it, the fundamental way that it was played back in the day in the NBA, in the Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Will Chamberlain days. And, the men's game has really translated to being able to play over the rim, a lot of one-on-one play versus team play. And I think what you see as the common thread in women's sports is that it remains pure like it did before. And more people that appreciate that style of basketball have really gravitated more to the women's side than the men's. I mean, I very rarely will turn on an NBA game, but I'll watch college basketball, the entire season. And I think there's still just a huge pure, it's just pure. And it is about team. It's about university. It's about pride. NIL has changed that a little bit, I think, on the men's side. We haven't seen it change as much on the women's side in terms of NIL. It has a little bit in different pockets, but it's fun to watch. I think what we're also seeing is, like, a lot of people have daughters. And, back in the day, it was, you're a cheerleader or you're playing something that's maybe more perceived as a feminine sport, where basketball, daughters want to play basketball now. Which is bringing dads and uncles and grandfathers into the mix, and it's creating a really nice frenzy around the sport, which is awesome to see.
Yeah, I agree, and it is and even men's college basketball has gone the way of the outside 3-point shot, right? I mean, and whereas, boy, that inside game and women's college basketball is fun to watch, and it's intense. It's so much faster than it ever was. And by the way, I don't know, the game I saw the other day, there were women cheerleaders for the women's team. So there can be cheerleaders too on top of all of that. So it's great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Cully, I'll give you a question here.
William. So, Maria, we predicted the USC game was going to be tight. It was. UConn pulled away. What do you see for the Final Four? Do you see them getting there and winning the championship like we had talked about previously? Are they still in the mix for that?
Yeah, I mean, I think what they've shown over the last couple of weeks is that, we have the best player in the country. We have the best freshman in the country. We have the best coaching staff in the country. And, and I think we have a team that's completely bought in, which, you see consistently with UConn teams over the years. But this year we finally have a healthy roster, and we're clicking at the right time. So the way that I see, I think the UCLA game is going to be a tough game for us. They have a really good big in Lauren Betts. Which we haven't really seen. The majority of the teams we've played throughout the tournament have been more guard-oriented. So I do think it poses a different problem. But I like the way we're playing right now, and I think we're the favorites to win down in Tampa.
And you said Texas would give us the toughest problem other than, again, if they played South Carolina again, they'd be fine. But Texas would be the team that would give them the most trouble.
Yeah, I think UCLA and Texas were two teams that I identified from all season.
You did.
That I think pose the greatest matchup problems for us. But, we've risen to the occasion so far.
Yeah.
I know Gino will have them ready, and I know they're geared up. I mean, they didn't even want to cut the nets down in regionals because they were like, no, we're just going to cut them down at the Final Four.
It's exciting. Saving it for the
they didn't want
the real prize.
Yeah.
Final question. Somebody asking what your take is on the effect that Caitlin Clark has had on basketball, women's basketball, and the WNBA?
Oh, it's been tremendous. Caitlin's a great talent. I think, we've had great talent for the last couple of decades. I think it's kind of been like a perfect storm of when she's come in.
Yeah.
Again, you just have so many more young ladies watching the game, playing the game at an early age. And it's helped women's basketball in college tremendously. And, that spilled over to the WNBA. And I think we'll see a whole new frenzy this summer when Paige gets to the WNBA. And, it's a really great WNBA draft class. So the future of women's basketball is in good hands.
Yeah, it has not fallen by the wayside. It's not turned into a Tiger Woods situation. Although with Clark, it really was in the beginning. If she was playing, everybody watched. Now there are stars
Angel
that are
Reese.
I mean, there are a lot of women's college basketball and WNBA stars out there that people are watching for. Man, what a transformation in women's sports. And Maria, thank you so much for coming on. UConn legend,
yes,
Maria Conlon, and of course, podcast partner with Steve Cully. Thank you for taking the time.
Love you, Maria. Thank you.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me on. Have a great day.
All right, have a great day. Coming up, Ryan Nobles. Davey, how many breaks do I have left? Because I'm loaded. You work on that. Let me go to Stacey Haynes and keep this going. Stacey, as Manaski, if you need to go, I understand that. We'll see you tomorrow.
Just one thing. Is Caitlin Clark, she's out of the WNBA now, right?
No,
she's in the WNBA.
I thought she was going to Europe or something.
Yeah, they go in the Europe in the off season to make more money.
Okay.
Yes.
Anything further? Any other?
I just needed clarification.
Yeah,
Thank you. Have a good day, guys.
Stacey Haynes is the executive director of the Susquehanna SPCA. This farm, which was a pig farm, illegally harboring animals into Berlin. What do we know on this, Stacey? Thank you, Jeff. What do we know? Good morning.
Hi, good morning. First, let me say I'm a huge Caitlin Clark fan, so that was just a great conversation to hear. Thank you.
Listen, what an amazing transformation women's sports has gone through in the last 10 years. It's really incredible.
Yes, very exciting. Very exciting time.
So
I, about a year ago, we were there with the state police executing a state search warrant. Animals were found to be in, horrible conditions. We found dozens of dead animals who had, in my opinion, suffered and died. And so there were animals that were not able to be caught that day.
Mm-hmm.
There were, animals that were, she's surrounded by, the farm is surrounded by a state forest. And so some of the animals had escaped into the state forest. And so basically, she was told, look, you have an opportunity to get those animals off your property. And so whether you sell them or you give them away, you cannot have animals while this case is moving forward. And so unfortunately, there were animals still there.
Yeah.
And so that's why we were there the other day to get those animals off our property, once and for all.
Okay, this is becoming we're seeing more and more of these cases of animal abuse. Do you feel that people are no longer tolerant, or they're actually speaking up, or are there more cases?
Boy, it's a really good question. We like to say that we're in the industry, we're victims of our own advocacy, because we're, begging people to speak up and speak out and for law enforcement to take action. And more we're seeing that they're doing just that, and we're very grateful. But the flip side of that is having enough humane animal organizations to provide the aftercare once the animals are seized. And so I think that's definitely part of it, but then we see things like this dog that was, burned alive in a crate in Albany.
Yeah,
we
terrible.
see now in Albany this dog who had its ears cut off. We recently in Otsego County had a case that we are pretty confident was a breeding. They were breeding pit bulls for a dog fighting, ring. And so I don't know, is it increasing? How could that be? But on one hand, it does seem like that's happening, and it's really disturbing.
It is, and I just want to say thank you to the work that you guys do, because you're playing a major role in correcting a lot of these terrible, terrible things.
Well, thank you. And the only way it can be done is because people in our communities care.
Yeah.
We're a private nonprofit, and the only way we're funded and we're able to respond when law enforcement call are because good people who care about animals donate to our organization. And so, thank you to all the people who care and who join our mission, because that's the only way this work gets done.
Okay. We'll talk again soon. Stacey, thank you for the time. All right.
Thanks, guys. Okay.
Stacey Haynes is the executive director of the Susquehanna SPCA. Richard this morning says it doesn't go into double overtime. Again, if the first team scores a touchdown in 9 minutes, the other team will only have 1 minute to score. No double play,
No, but it would be a
time.
tie, wouldn't? Or no, if the other team took the lead, yes, he's right.
They'd only have a minute to score. Davey, I'm going to do the break at the top and keep us rolling here, because no one puts Ryan Nobles in the corner and makes him wait any longer than he already has. Ryan, good morning. Ryan Nobles, good morning.
You have a jam-packed program this morning.
It is. It is packed. Holy crap. Okay. I did want to get your take on some of the. This is Ryan Nobles, of course, from NBC. I wanted to get your take on the tush push and the new rules, 35-yard line touchback. What are your thoughts on all of this in the NFL?
Well, I'm always reluctant for rule changes that are designed to prevent a team that's figured out a competitive advantage.
Mm-hmm.
I understand why Major League Baseball got rid of the shift, but that annoyed me. Like, to me, if a team is able to just move a player over because you can't hit the ball to the left side of the infield, then you need to figure out how to hit the ball to the left side of the infield.
Yep.
And I kind of feel the same way with the tush push. Like, you've figured out, you've got stronger, better guys, and you've recruited and found players that give you this advantage where if you've got the ball within a yard, you can always get that yard. I don't see why that should be legislated out of the game. So, and that seems to be where the league is too. They tabled it, right? They didn't outlaw.
They have tabled it,
They seem to be wanting to be heading in that direction. But I think like the way you saw the Eagles use it and versus the way you saw the Bills use it, it looked like the Bills had it figured out. And then, in the Chiefs game, the Chiefs schemed against it to prevent them, and they were unsuccessful a number of times with it. So to me, you got to figure out how to do it competitively, not legislate it out of the game. But we'll have to see how it plays out.
Well,
in terms of the other rules, I don't know enough about those.
I agree with that, except for I got to say when the Yankees cheat with the torpedo bat. I mean, that cheating is just out of control.
Well, I do think that's kind of a different thing. Because that's like technology, that's not competition. I do think this torpedo bat thing is something that the Major League Baseball is going to have to look at, because the impact of it has just been incredible, and they're certainly within the bounds of the rules that Major League Baseball set out for the specs for these bats. But clearly, just that little shifting of the barrel a little bit further down the bat, or catered specifically to the type of player, it seems to have had a pretty big impact. Jazz Chisholm is not somebody that hits 30 home runs a year.
The daylights out of the ball.
If this is what he's going to do, you have to think the bat's got something to do with that.
And I believe Hernandez or Darling said the other day, they really think that what is going to happen is at some point we're going to get to the point where each bat is designed, custom made for each player, based on their body makeup or their talents, their strengths.
Think there's any doubt.
That's
totally
coming. Like with golf. So all right, let's go to some news items here. You have two victories in Florida for President Trump and for Mike Johnson, and in Wisconsin you have Elon Musk with cheese on his head, literally. So your thoughts on yesterday's elections?
So I think the Democrats are probably waking up this morning feeling good, but not great about where things are headed. I think the win in Wisconsin was pretty convincing. I mean, Wisconsin is a state that goes back and forth. It is, I think, maybe one of the last. I mean, maybe Pennsylvania being the other, like truly swing state where you have voters that shift back and forth between voting Republican and Democrat, and the races there are usually with only in a couple points. So the fact that the liberal-leaning judicial candidate there was able, especially with all the stakes that were associated with it, was able to win by a comfortable 10 points, I think is pretty significant. But in Florida, I think Democrats got a little over their skis. I think they saw some polling early on with kind of a weak candidate in the Jacksonville seat that made them think that they could make this out to be a much bigger message than it turned out to be. And I think that they maybe set the expectations beyond a bit of what the reality is. And so, there were Democrats that were saying that this race could have come within single digits and ended up being a 15-point margin. So it doesn't sound as impressive. But when you compare it to how well Donald Trump did there in the last election, it's a significant improvement for Democrats. So the political winds right now are definitely shifting in favor of Democrats and a bit of a rejection for the early days of the Trump administration. But I don't think it's necessarily overwhelming in a way that Donald Trump's going to necessarily change course leading ahead of the 2026 election.
Are you seeing? Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh,
the other point I was going to make.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, with Wisconsin in particular, the Musk factor of it all, I think, is so important. And I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing for Donald Trump. I think that Musk overplayed his hand there in a big way. It'd be one thing to put $20 million in and just not make yourself a public spectacle. But to do the $20 million investment, to go to a rally there, to hand out $1 million checks, he really made that race all about himself. And the Wisconsin voters rejected that. But in a way, that kind of serves as a heat shield for Donald Trump, right? Donald Trump, if things start to go south, can just blame everything on Elon Musk and push him out of his administration. I don't think that it's necessarily as bad news for Donald Trump as it seems on its face. Certainly, it's inescapable to connect to connect Donald Trump to Elon Musk, but it really seemed to be more about Musk than it was about Trump.
Are you seeing some of the? We're getting calls today and messages today about why didn't they push wait until after this to move forward on at least Stefanik's nomination as ambassador of the United Nations, and then move with the special election because they didn't lose those two seats. However, if you look at the chaos that occurred in NY21 with some members, some chairs, including right here in Oneida County, some candidates, one in particular, Constantino, and then an outlier conservative, head of the Conservative Party, who decided he's going off in his own direction. It just got way too out of control, I think, where the White House just said, we're backing out of this.
Listen, I think Elise Stefanik found herself kind of at the center of a storm that she became the scapegoat for.
Yeah.
Donald Trump was very angry about the kind of the fallout from Signalgate, which was Mike Waltz's was a central player in all that. It was Mike Waltz's seat that was up last night. He saw the concerns about that seat that annoyed him, that he had to deal with both of those things at the same time. And I think part of his calculation there was that I don't want to have to deal with that again. Why am I giving up a perfectly safe seat right now and have to deal with the chaos associated with that when I don't have to?
Yeah.
And also there was some, kind of behind the scenes dissatisfaction with Elise Stefanik, I think, in the way that the whole process played itself out.
Yeah.
My colleague Mel Zanone and others have done some great reporting on that. And I think that Trump just didn't want the headache. Like, why give up a safe seat for, there's a million people that can be UN ambassador that don't vacate a comfortable seat that you then have to spend money on. And you're right, the Republican primary there was way too chaotic. The Democrats had settled on a very strong candidate. So I think that was a combination of things. But from Stefanik's perspective, it's the worst case scenario. A strong leader, number 4 in House leadership. Now they say she's going to be at the leadership table. Her responsibilities are very opaque. this is not at all what she wanted, and it's got to be a very disappointing outcome to what she thought was going to be a very plump position as the UN ambassador.
Ryan, let's look at how Trump really looks at things. If you're Trump, you're looking at this saying, Elise, that's your district. What is get these people in order? What's going on? And she kind of walked away. And one of the criticisms we heard from people in the process was that she didn't come out for a candidate. She didn't take control, and she very well could have. I understand for Republicans that the chairs actually made the decision, but at the end of the day, had she spoken up, they probably would have fallen in line, or Trump would have expected them to fall in line. And she didn't take a leadership role there, and I think that also hurt her.
Well, I mean, there was definitely a perception that she had moved on to the next job, which you really can't blame her for.
No,
I mean,
I understand.
Taking on a really massive responsibility as the UN ambassador, but, she was doing a farewell tour, going around saying goodbye to everyone. She didn't seem too focused on who her replacement was going to be, and I think that led to a degree of chaos. And you guys know as better as anybody, that district is so massive.
It's huge.
The people in Plattsburgh are not talking to the people in Rome. There's all these dispirited factions. The only unifying force there is Elise Stefanik. She could have been the one to come in and say, okay, this is my heir apparent. Everybody get behind him or her.
Yeah.
I'm moving on to this next thing, but let's not screw what should be
That's exactly right.
And mess with the president.
She could have cleaned this all up. And we found out from one of the candidates, the local candidate from Rome, that he wasn't necessarily sure he was getting the support of the Oneida County chair, who was penalizing him over the fact that he actually gets along with Pacenti, with Griffo, with Oneida County leadership. Yeah, there's a lot of crap going on here. So,
who is the Oneida County chair?
It is Mr. Rozier now.
Oh, okay.
Which makes things very interesting, doesn't it?
I'm sure it does, yeah.
It does. And on that note, we'll say let's do this again next week, Ryan. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Have a good one.
All right. Thanks so much. Ryan Nobles. Davey, don't get mad. Struggling with pain, Davey? Are you struggling with pain? You look like you are. With Dr. Timothy Del Medico, soft wave therapy is an answer. FDA cleared, non-invasive, drug-free treatment for chronic pain, inflammation, and all joint issues. Cully, get out of his way if you could. Ask about $99 new patient special right now. Introductory discovery. The session includes a consultation with one of the doctors. It's soft wave therapy. It's non-invasive, and it can change your life. I'm going through the therapy as we speak. Call today, 315-725-8427, 315-725-8427 for soft wave therapy with Dr. Timothy Del Medico. And if you're in need of a new family doctor, Davey, just calm yourself. We'll figure this out. The Falcon Clinic in Washington Mills is accepting new patients. The Falcon Clinic is the area's premier osteopathic medical clinic. Dr. Zielinski, Dr. Shemaleski, there's an acupuncturist, counseling, all under one roof. But if you're in need of a new family doctor, they are now accepting new patients. Call them today, 315-507-4751, or you can visit online and check out their website. But it is the premier osteopathic medical clinic in the area. It's the Falcon Clinic, 315-507-4751. Thank you, Davey, for cleaning up my mess. And we got to go. Manaski will be back in tomorrow for Megan. News coming up top of the hour.
From the Stanley Theater Studio, WIBX Utica, Rome.
W295EI.
WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM, a Town Square media station.
It's Liberation Day in America. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. President Trump posted that this morning, all caps, on Truth Social as he readies new tariffs on countries that charge for American exports.
We are focused on restoring the golden age of America and making America a manufacturing superpower.
Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt at the White House, where Fox's Jackie Heinrich reports.
There will be some kind of new charge applied to all countries coming today, as well as sector-specific tariffs. Steel and aluminum imports are already subject to a 25% charge, and 25% will also be applied to auto imports starting tomorrow. That includes auto auto parts.
But there is concern, especially on Wall Street, where futures are falling, about tariffs leading to more inflation. Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna tells Fox.
We made a colossal mistake in this country with 90,000 factories shutting down, leaving for China, leaving for Mexico. The problem I have is that there's not a comprehensive plan.
Democrats scored a win in Wisconsin, electing Judge Susan Crawford to the state Supreme Court, beating conservative Brad Schimmel in a very expensive race, attempting to shift the court's balance to the right.
And it seems Wisconsin voters weren't really swayed by the star power of Elon Musk. In fact, a lot of them said that they were pushing back at the idea of a rich outsider coming in, spending money to try to impact the Wisconsin vote. It was also the first time Wisconsin liberals had an opportunity to push back at Donald Trump.
That's Fox's Mike Tobin in Madison. Republicans did win 2 special elections in Florida for 2 vacant seats in Congress, giving the GOP a slightly bigger House majority now with 220 seats. It's up to nearly 3,000 people dead in the Burma earthquake disaster.
While most rescue teams are only pulling bodies from the rubble, a 26-year-old man has been found alive in the wreckage of the hotel where he worked. It's 5 days since Burma and neighbouring Thailand were hit by a 7.7 magnitude quake. International aid efforts are continuing.
That's Fox's Jonathan Savage. America's listening to Fox News.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular and get your second month free for a limited time. You'll get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month. Here's Veronica and Jackie, real customers.
I didn't know that I could get something for a lot less money that was actually better than who I was with before.
Anytime anybody complains about their cell phone bill, we say, you've got to check out Consumer Cellular.
And now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free when they use promo code SECONDFREE. Just call, click, or bring us your bill and see how much you can save. Because when it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and use code SECONDFREE to get a free second month. Real people paid to share their opinions in this ad. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
WIBX 950 AM 92.3 FM. I'm Megan Stone. An arrest has been made in connection to an ongoing Rome government impersonation fraud case. Rome police announced that on March 31st, 51-year-old Keetan Patel of Edison, New Jersey, was arrested by the New York State Police Violent Gang and Narcotics Enforcement Team. Patel was charged with attempted grand larceny in the 3rd degree for engaging in impersonation fraud in the city of Rome. He is accused of attempting to extort money from a victim via an online and telephone scam. Patel was arraigned at Rome City Court. State lawmakers are expressing outrage over the state's decision to release some inmates early due to a shortage of corrections officers. The Department of Corrections and Community Supervision has asked state prisons to provide a list of inmates who may qualify for early release. Assemblywoman Marianne Buttonshaw said this is not a viable option and that the state should reevaluate the workers who had been terminated after participating in the Wildcat strikes, which erupted over work safety concerns. Meanwhile, State Senator Mark Walzlick of the 49th District called the decision insane and that it'll create more problems. Over a dozen area hamburger joints are officially competing to win the 9th annual Best Burger competition and the title for Best Burger in New York State. Of the 62 state restaurants vying for the title, 15 are right here in central New York, and among them include 1886 Prime in Frankfurt, De Mateo's and Johnny B's Tavern in Rome, Roosters and Swifties in Utica, Piggy Pat's in New Hartford, Madison Hotel in Ilion, and Beaver Creek Bar and Grill. Qualifiers must sell 100% beef patties. Voting is now live, and you can cast yours on nybeef.org through April 11th. New York state lawmakers are extending the state budget deadline to Thursday. There's optimism lawmakers will work out their differences with Governor Kathy Hochul by then. Otherwise, state workers won't get a paycheck, and that includes them. She's proposing a $250 to $265 billion budget that depends on $90 billion a year from the feds. Hochul is concerned about possible cuts and is telling legislators she's open to them making budget changes based on what they anticipate. Major issues include public safety, affordable housing, and tax cuts for the middle class. Your Weather Center forecast: a slight chance of rain today, high 45. Rain continues tonight, maybe even a rumble of thunder, low 39, and showers and thunderstorms possible tomorrow, high 71. WIBX 950 AM 92.3 FM. I'm Megan Stone.
Millions of Americans take medicine like Ozempic and Zepbound. Many of them are overpaying by thousands of dollars a year.
These GLP-1 medications for diabetes, weight loss, and more may not always be covered by your insurance, but GoodRx can help. GoodRx helps you save every month on prescriptions at over 70,000 pharmacies nationwide. Best of all, it's free to use. Check GoodRx to save on GLP-1s. Just go to goodrx.com/GLP. That's goodrx.com/GLP. GoodRx is not insurance but can be used instead of insurance, including Medicare and other federal and state-funded programs.
WIBX 950 and 92.3 FM.
From high atop Fox News headquarters in New York City, always seeking solutions, never sowing division. It's Brian Kilmeade.
Hi, everyone. So glad you're there. I'm here. We're having a great, impactful week. It's going to be a big day today. Special election yesterday. A lot to go over. We even had the First Lady out and about this week, so that doesn't happen all the time. She's been quite busy, so we'll see where this goes. This hour, I'm going to be joined by Brett Baer, the guy never stops, and Rich Lowry at the bottom of the hour from National Review. And keep in mind, too, if you ever want to get the show as a podcast, you can go to anywhere you get podcasts. Also, just go to the Fox News app, and you can get it from there. So let's get to the big three.
Number 3. President Trump is using tariffs to, 1, raise revenues, 2, to recalibrate and make more reciprocal our trade imbalance with other countries. And also, President Trump is trying to protect American sovereignty, American security, American manufacturing, American jobs, America herself.
And that's the goal, impasse. And you can blame Putin. The Russian leader had an honest broker. Well, this is not the right one. So we'll explain that. This one's supposed to be about Russia. Next, let's just go to Elon Musk.
Number 2.
It is remarkable that there is so much violence. People have burned cars, they've fired bullets into dealerships, they have scratched swastikas into Teslas of the innocent people that they're just going about their lives. They've done nothing wrong.